KNX.com.
Your locally owned hometown station gives you the news and what it means to you. Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
12 noon, 61 degrees, sunny with a high of 70 inland. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstead. An iconic attraction, the snake button, going to be carried over into the new Milwaukee Public Museum.
A secret to pass between generations of museum visitors.
There will definitely be a snake button.
Milwaukee Public Museum unveiling the fourth of 5 permanent galleries to be a part of the new space. Living in a Dynamic World will focus on a combination of geology, geography, and sociology.
As always, we are looking at ways to bring what is nostalgic and what's powerful, what people remember, to the future museum. But we'll also say there's always going to be some surprises.
Helen Diviak from Think Design, the 5th and final reveal coming up later this month. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
If you'd like to see some of the sketches of the new gallery, just text the word museum to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620. Officials say St. Croix Sheriff's Deputy Katie Leising's death over the weekend proves that the state is lacking of staffing.
Executive Director of the Wisconsin Professional Police Association, Jim Palmer, tells WTMJ why she faced the deadly situation alone.
In looking at agencies that serve a more rural setting, is that their backup support could be as far as 20 to 30 minutes away.
Those scenarios made worse by a lack of officers statewide. Palmer says it's going to take intervention from lawmakers in Madison to
come behind a unified investment in public safety.
Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, WTMJ News.
Deputy Leising was shot and killed while responding to a man who was reportedly drunk and putting his car in a ditch. He later took his own life. In Washington, President Biden set to meet with congressional leaders for some high-stakes discussions over the debt limit. It'll take place later today. Comes as new analysis finds the U.S. could run out of money to pay its bills within weeks. More from CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
The White House, the president, don't rule out having conversations about the federal budget that would involve spending cuts. But they would argue that's not a conversation that needs to happen on a timeline that goes till September 30th, the end of the fiscal year. So the president's saying, you want to talk about that? Sure, let's have a budget debate that extends into the fall. But on the debt limit, on money we've already authorized to spend, that's got to be raised, and it's got to be done cleanly and quickly.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy among those who will be on hand at the White House today. With the Bucs head coaching slot now vacant, the search for a new leader is on. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Lori Nickel tells Wisconsin's Morning News that it's always possible that a female coach could be selected.
There's definitely a possibility. I mean, we know Becky Hammon was brought in as a serious candidate, and we know that there are 16 NBA assistant coaches who are women, never with the Bucs. There's 8 full-time NBA female officials. There's a handful of women in the front office in the NBA.
Coach Budenholzer was fired after 5 seasons with the Bucs. Health experts are now saying that women should get screened earlier for breast cancer than originally thought. According to the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, women should start their screening at 40 years of age rather than 50. The guidelines apply to women who have an average risk of breast cancer. Dr. Carol Maggioni is the immediate past chair of the task force. She tells ABC,
we have new and more inclusive science about breast cancer in people under the age of 50. And that lets us expand our previous recommendation to indicate that everybody from 40 should be screened every other year.
Sports, traffic, and weather next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:04.
What if you could build a 6-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a 6-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs from Wharton, MIT, and Stanford share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535. 3535.
All Brewers games are on sale now. Next up, the Crew battles the Royals for a weekend duel. Friday, May 12th through Sunday, the 14th. Fulfill your Jedi destiny at Star Wars Night on Saturday, the 13th, and receive a Luke Skywalker bobblehead with purchase of a special ticket package. Plus, take home a one-of-a-kind Brewers wristlet for 10,000 moms on Mother's Day. Sunday, May 14th. Presented by American Family Insurance. Get your seats today at brewers.com/promotions.
Outdoor living is great, but it's best when it's at your own home. Well, there's a company called Outdoor Living Unlimited that will build you a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, all manner of things to enhance outdoor living at your place, even an outdoor kitchen. Get started right away. Contact Outdoor Living Unlimited now. Get your yard project onto Outdoor Living Unlimited's calendar while there's still openings. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com. With a record of 20-15, the Brewers have a 2-game winning streak they'll put to the test tonight in Game 2 of a 3-game series against the Dodgers. Coverage gets underway following the 6 o'clock news on WTMJ. Milwaukee begins the day just a half game back of the Pirates for first place in the NL Central Division. The NFL will release its 2023 regular season schedule Thursday night at 7 o'clock, according to the league. Some games, however, will be announced as early as Wednesday, when the international games in London and Germany will be announced by the NFL Network. There will also be a Black Friday game for the first time ever. Amazon and CBS will reveal specific games as early as Wednesday morning. Greg Matzek, WTMJ Sports.
Checking the roads now through Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. 94 westbound from downtown through the Zoo to Highway 16. You're looking good all the way up. 17-minute ride. 4145 south, Highway Q to the Zoo is also on time. That's 15. 43 northbound from downtown up to Brown Deer Road. That's a typical trip of 12 minutes. 94 to the south from the Marquette to Layton, also on time at 7.
Traffic is sponsored by Evans Transportation Services. Thank heavens for Evans. Rely on one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking. Evans Transportation Services. Family owned for 40 years and continuing to grow. Evans Transportation Services in Brookfield.
WTMJ 5-day forecast tonight. Clearing skies. Temperatures fall into the mid-40s. Tomorrow, more sunshine with highs in the upper 60s by the lakefront and mid-70s inland. Thursday, more sunshine too. Highs near 70 by the lakefront and near 80 degrees inland. Friday, highs in the mid-60s by the lakefront and mid-70s inland, but showers push back into the area. More showers expected on Saturday with highs in the mid to upper 60s. And on Sunday, still a few more showers and breezy, highs in the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Marissa Walls with the Storm Team forecast on WTMJ.
Right now in Madison, it's 58 degrees. Green Bay, 65. Waukesha, 64. Milwaukee, 61. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. You can now, of course, watch us via our live stream as well. We've been doing this for a couple weeks now, and I know a number of people do it. Get comments on what I'm wearing. This is 2 nights in a row. I'm going to the Brewers game. Going to the Brewers, the Dodgers game, so I'm wearing different Brewer regalia than I did yesterday, so you can check that out. If you want to watch the broadcast or even watch a replay later on, all you have to do is you can go to our website, WTMJ.com. You can click Listen Live. That lets you listen live. Or you can click Watch Live, and that hooks up all the streaming here. We also are available through the YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. A lot of fun. No matter how you get us, we're around. You can't avoid us. And then, of course, the podcast. We have a new design for our podcast page and new logos and all those sort of things. So check it out, and you can listen in real time. You can listen delayed. Whatever you do, we appreciate you listening. Like I said, I went to the ball game last night. Just 2 comments to start off with. First of all, these new rule changes for baseball are great. And if you stopped going to baseball games because they were too long and they were too tedious, you need to come back. You know, they've got a pitch clock in. They've sped it up. Last night, 9-3 ball game. In years past, for the Brewers to play the Dodgers with the pitching changes and to score that many runs, the game would have been 3.5 hours minimum. So it would have started at 6:40. You would have been lucky to be out of there by 10:30. You get home by 11, 11:30, and then, you got to get up the next morning. So last night, the game, 9-3, moved along. It was over in less than 2.5 hours, maybe closer to 2 hours and 20 minutes. Game started at 6:40. By a little bit after 9, and we stayed till the end. My buddy and I, Evan and I, were walking out, and it was like, wow, that's just the right amount of time. And you saw all the action. It's just there's not the sitting around, there's not the standing around, there's not the lollygagging. It's just amazing. And if you are one of the people that got turned off on baseball because it just took too darn long to play the games, or you wanted to take your kids to American Family Field to see the game, but it's 9:30 at night on a Monday or Tuesday night, and they're only in the fourth inning. That's not happening anymore. This is, I think, last night was like the third or fourth game that I have been to in person, and they're all like that. They're all like that. These games are moving along. This is something that Major League Baseball should have done a number of years ago, but they have gotten it right. So this is kind of my message. If you were turned off and didn't want to go to the games because of pace of play, they have really solved this problem. Now, maybe there's still some glitches and things that have to be worked out, but I haven't seen that yet. From a fan experience perspective, the game is much, much faster pace, but it still has the same character. So go out and see the games. Secondly, and that kind of relates to my second point, this is a fun Brewers team. They're 20-15. They're a half game out of first place in the Central Division. The Dodgers, which are generally believed to be the best team in the National League, they're 21-15. So the Brewers have essentially the same record. And last night, now I understand last night was a Monday night and it was a dreary night, but of course you've got the roof at American Family Field. There were only 22,000 tickets sold. That was the announced attendance, 22,000, and that's, again, tickets sold. So the attendance isn't that much. There's not as many people because some people have tickets and they just decide that they're not going to show up. It's almost embarrassing that there were only 22,000 tickets sold for last night's game. This is a good Brewers team. They're playing fun, exciting baseball. And I firmly believe that Milwaukee is a great sports town. I believe southeastern Wisconsin is a great sports region. And I believe Wisconsin is a great state. We support our sports teams. And candidly, last night was a night, even on a Monday night, the Los Angeles Dodgers in town, they should have drawn at least 30,000 people. So I'm encouraging you people to go out, root on this team. If you are a baseball fan, trust me, you will not be disappointed. And if you haven't been back to the game, you will be absolutely amazed at the pace of play. So give it a chance. That's my request. That's my advice. All right, let us get started. The Donald Trump battery trial in New York has now gone to the jury. For those of you who haven't been keeping track of this, what happens is there was a woman, her name is E. Jean Carroll, and sometime in the 1990s, she is unclear as to what year this occurred. At the time, Donald Trump was a celebrity real estate developer, and she was an advice columnist for Elle magazine. They sort of knew each other just because they kind of ran in the same social circles. Her story is that she was shopping at Berghoff Goodman department store, which is, kind of like Macy's and Saks, one of the big department stores. And she runs into Donald Trump and they start talking. He asks her if she'll help him shop for lingerie, and they end up in the lingerie department. And her story is that he forces her essentially into a dressing room and sexually assaults her in graphic sort of terms. She says that she didn't scream, she didn't report it to police. She does say that she told a couple friends afterwards, and there was nothing else done with this. Normally, in terms of things like this, there would be a statute of limitations, which is typically 5 years. That's long since blown. But New York passed a new law that went into effect last year that essentially created a window that waived the statute of limitations. So it said if you'd been, for example, sexually assaulted, you could bring a claim regardless of how long ago it happened, as long as you bring a claim within like this 1 year window. She filed as soon as that law was passed. So that's why this gets around the statute of limitations. The matter has been a trial. We talked about it, about one aspect of this trial the other day. So Donald Trump did not testify. He had been deposed. So there was a deposition of him, and parts of that were played. He didn't show up at the trial. He didn't testify at the trial. The accuser, E. Jean Carroll, she testified in great detail, was subject to cross-examination for a couple of days. The case has now gone to the jury. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Here's my question. What do you think is going to happen? Now, in this case, I did not watch the testimony. I saw it I've read about it. The accounts were that she was vigorously cross-examined, but the accounts in the media says that she appeared to have stood up to this relatively well. She's very, very vague. She can't tell you, and this is something we talked about last week, she can't even say the year that this happened. Well, it was sometime in the mid-1990s, which, as I expressed last week, that's always something that gives me pause, because regardless of whether you think it happened or not, how fair is that if somebody filed a claim against you and said, in sometime in the mid-90s, so-and-so sexually assaulted me? And you say, well, okay, when did that happen? Well, I don't know. It could have been 1993. It could have been 1994. Well, what month did it happen in? Well, I don't know what month it happened in. And the problem, of course, is it's almost impossible for somebody to defend themselves. How do you defend yourself from an allegation that has that lack of specificity? But nonetheless, that's what's happened when they waived the statute of limitations. So Donald Trump makes a decision that he's not only not going to testify in person, he's not even going to attend the trial. What do you think is going to happen in this case? 855-616-1620. And again, this is a civil case, so you don't have to prove. It's not like the state having to prove somebody is guilty of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. The standard is a preponderance of the evidence. And her claim is she was subject to battery with regard to the sexual assault by Donald Trump, and also he defamed her because after she came out a few years back and said, this is what happened to me, he called her a liar. So she says, I've been defamed. All right, who's going to win this? And who should win this? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
The Brewers Radio Network's Lane Grindle sees it all from the broadcast booth.
Down the right field line, this is up and it is going to fly out of here.
But what's he like off the air?
It's 2023. It's the year of the cheesehead.
Lane Grindle joins Wisconsin's afternoon news every Monday during the Brewers 2023 campaign.
There'd be nothing better in my life than to be the brother of Lane Grindle.
I did not have a brother, so, John, we can make honorary brothers.
Right here on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Are you looking to give your home a new look? Siding Unlimited can help with the big stuff, but there are some little things that you can do to accessorize your home until you're ready for the major improvement. Let's start with the simple. Just hanging a plant, or easier yet, setting plants in front of your home can add color and life to your home. Plants with vibrant colors and healthy growth show your home is alive and well. Replacing light fixtures will definitely give a nice change of pace and help with the night accent lighting. There are other accessories that will help give an updated look to your home, such as custom address plates or even garage door hardware that can be a simple addition that draws the eye and gives you more curb appeal. The little adjustments are nice, but you might be ready for a major improvement. There are newer styles and colors in siding products, window and doors, as well as roofing products that can make your home pop and neighbors impressed. Siding options include different looks with shake siding such as hand split, Stager edge, straight edge, perfection shingles, and natural colors that really stand out. Sometimes new windows and doors can give such an elegant look because the glass alone is so crisp and clean. Whether you try the little things or call Siding Unlimited for the bigger projects, there are different ways to give your house a new look. Sometimes it's just time for the major improvement.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for replacement windows, roofing, decks, and, of course, siding. They are the best, as acknowledged by the many rewards their suppliers have conferred upon them. Now, take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited. Siding and a whole lot more.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. The defamation/assault civil trial against Donald Trump has now gone to the jury. Went to the jury this morning. Who knows when they're going to have a verdict. As I've said before, I have some issues with the statute of limitations and the vagueness, and how do you defend against, somebody, well, somebody did something to me, I could have been 1994, could have been 1995. At the same time, it is Donald Trump, and I think a lot of people say, okay, this seems to be perfectly keeping in character. In addition, he made the decision not to testify at the trial. Now, they played portions of a video deposition, and the portions that I saw of that did not help him. He did not come across well. But he made the decision, number one, not to attend the trial, and number two, not to testify. Now, in a criminal trial, we instruct the jury that the failure of somebody to testify cannot be used against them. That's a criminal trial because you have the absolute right, under the Fifth Amendment, not to be compelled to testify against yourself to offer incriminating evidence. It's a whole different rules in civil trials. And I'm sure one of the things that jurors are going to be considering is, wait, if I were accused of sexually assaulting somebody, even if it's vague, and I didn't do it, I'd be on that witness stand screaming that I did not do it. And yet Donald Trump has decided at least not to do that in person. He did it in a deposition that was, again, played in front of the jury, but that's different than actually testifying. Does that hurt him? 855-616-1620. Let's start with Eric in Milwaukee. Eric, good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Eric.
Well, I think it's going to be real hard for former President Trump to get a fair trial because of the volatile political nature of our society now. Everybody's heard of Donald Trump, and you either love him or you hate him. Mm-hmm. So it's up to the jury kind of on their political makeup. To be fair and honest, I agree with you about the vagueness of her dates and this and that. It's unfortunate that the pre-hearing Trump didn't look good, but that'll be up to the jury to figure out. I think the comment about her being defamed is completely ridiculous because of the fact that this case made her a whole lot more famous.
Yeah.
And she has been touring the adult entertainment clubs across the country, making a lot of money.
No, Eric, let me stop you. That's Stormy Daniels. That's not. And I understand that sometimes when it comes to Donald Trump and different women who are raising allegations, you need a scorecard. You're thinking about Stormy Daniels, who is the adult actress who says that they had a one-night stand, except neither one of them were standing, and he ended up paying her hush money. So that's that. This lady is, no, she's not an adult actress. This lady she's 79 years old right now. She's a writer. She was a columnist at the time for Elle magazine, which was a big magazine that was based out of New York. So, and I appreciate you got to keep them straight. I guess the thing that troubles me about this, and one of the things is that during the deposition, they asked Trump about the Access Hollywood stuff that came out, in 2016, where he says, "Hey, I'm a star. You can grab people. You can do whatever you want with them." And they said, "Well, did you say that?" He said, "Yeah, I said it, and yes, I believe it, and yes, I consider myself to be a star." I guess part of the issue that you're going to have to wrestle with, that I wrestle with in this, is these allegations strike me as being perfectly in character for something that someone like Donald Trump would have done in the mid-1990s. I mean, it sounds, can you picture Trump doing this? And, of course, other women came forward and testified that he kind of groped them and different things. It's perfectly in character with Donald Trump. So having said that it's perfectly in character, though, again, I have the problem with the vagueness of this and the inability to even pin it down. And one of the reasons why that's a big deal, to me at least, is how do you defend yourself? Okay, well, maybe if somebody had said, okay, well, this happened, I don't remember if it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but it happened like the first week in August of 1995. Okay, then you at least have a starting point and a framework, because then you can go back and you can try to dig out calendars or something or whatever, figure out where you were in August of 1995, and just maybe, from a perspective of a defendant in a case like this, you can come out and you can say, well, wait, I couldn't have been there because here's my calendar. The first week in August of 1995, I was in London, cementing some deal. And here's the records. I flew from, I flew from New York to London on, Sunday, whatever, and I didn't come back till 10 days. I could not have been there when she said it happened. The problem is when you have this completely vague allegation that's not even defined by years, how do you dispute that? Well, I was gone in July of 1995. Well, then might have been August. So that is the problem I have. But at the same time, I wrestle with the idea that, do I think this could be in keeping with character with Donald Trump? Absolutely, I do. Let's see, 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Let's see. Jeff, I'm not a woman, but if I was sexually assaulted, I would remember what day of the week it happened and the day and the year it happened. I think he'll be found innocent. Well, I guess it's just a question of not liable. I mean, that's the thing. Jeff, are you crazy, Trump? It's such an incredible witch hunt, and there is no possibility of getting a fair trial. Such a joke. This has become a banana republic. Jeff, I'm not a Trump backer. That being said, this case has way too many holes in it, not knowing the year and date, no police record, etc. To me, this was a joke of the case, and a great deal of time and money were wasted. Jeff, I don't think the timing is the issue here. If it isn't a case of possible mistaken identity, either he was in the dressing room with the woman at Bergdorf's at some point in time, or he wasn't. Right, and I understand that, but I guess my point is, and it's one of the reasons I have problems, it's one of the reasons why you have the statute of limitations in the first place, is so people who are wrongfully accused, and again, I'm not taking a position on whether this is a wrongful accusation or not, but so people can defend themselves. So to that extent, that the timing is a question, because how, and try to personalize this. What if somebody came forward and said, well, sometime in between 1993 and 1997, such and such, you assaulted me in the parking lot at this particular store, and I didn't report it to the police. I told a couple of my friends, but none of us can remember when exactly it occurred. How do you defend yourself from that? I mean, it ends up becoming the ultimate he said, she said thing. There's no way they could have brought this as a criminal trial, because statute of limitations notwithstanding, you'd never be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. But here, the question is, can you prove it by a preponderance of the evidence? I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Keep in mind also, Donald Trump has a town hall coming up on CNN tomorrow. I would not be surprised if the jury has returned a verdict in this case by then. They'll be curious to see whether that's a subject of conversation. I also think the question of, I think in some jurors' minds it's going to be, wait, if I were wrongfully accused of doing something, I would be in that courtroom, I would be on the witness stand saying I did not do it. And do you draw inferences from the fact that he chose not to testify? I wasn't there. I didn't watch enough of it to make predictions. But there's all sorts of issues here, and I think this is a verdict that could go either way. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
WTMJ's Steve Scafidi.
But you see what they've done here. It's more of the social justice crusade impacting how school education is conceived. I don't like it. Not a fan. You know what my takeaway from all this is? Hollywood has just effing weird. Do you have a behavior problem in this country? Absolutely. You have a parenting problem in this country? You bet. No phones in bedrooms. Works for adults, too. I've never had my phone in the bedroom. Nothing is that important. And I always say this, you're not that important.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here to tell you about my friends at Built Right Furniture and their 5th generation mattress sale that ends Saturday. Shop the most unique selection with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Look, Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. With Built Right's legitimate sale prices, you will get an exceptional value and a great night's sleep. Built Right does the research for you, and their team will help to take the time to fit you. Built Right specializes in flippable two-sided mattresses and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, they offer free delivery on mattress-only purchases of $5.99 or more, and they'll remove your old mattress as well. Select model sets include a free mattress pad or heavy-duty bed frame. Voted best place to shop, they are also the winner of the Home Furnishings Association's 2023 National Retailer of the Year Award. They're open Monday through Saturday. They open at 10, they close at 6. For personalized shopping, no problem. Call and book an appointment. Sunday, as always, they are closed to be with family. When you get there, do yourself a favor, do me a favor. They love to hear from you. Tell them Jeff Wagner from WTMJ sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right, conveniently located at 5430 West Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert back to report even more home buyers paid over the asking price last month, rising to 50% in the 5-county metro area. 3 out of 10 paid $10,000 or more above that list price. The good news is appraised values are generally keeping up with the over-asking offers. Still, the most powerful thing a buyer can do to make their offer the most attractive in a multiple offer situation is to give the seller some appraisal wiggle room. Telling the seller you're willing to pay over the asking price, even if the house appraises lower, sounds scary because most buyers think they have to fill that potential gap with more down payment. But in the vast majority of cases, AccuNet is showing home buyers how they can offer appraisal wiggle room without bringing a nickel more to closing. Appraisal wiggle room is like a good card trick. You need to see it to believe it. So if you're home shopping with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, upgrade today to an AccuNet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So, very glad to have you with us. WTMJ Breaking News time is 12:32 p.m. And from the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here's Eric Bilstead.
Thank you, sir. President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy meet at the White House later today to discuss the debt ceiling. Time is running short. The Treasury Department warns the U.S. could default as soon as June 1st if there is no deal. A Milwaukee police officer accused of grabbing a woman's neck and pointing his department-issued gun at her head while he was off duty is now facing charges of misdemeanors. Court records indicate that Rodney Abernathy had a relationship with the woman, but it did not meet the state definition of domestic violence. And some golf news to share with you. The American Family Insurance Championship is on the move. The tournament, which is part of the PGA Tour Champion Circuit, is going to relocate from University Ridge to TPC, Wisconsin in Madison there. That's formerly the Cherokee Country Club. It's going to move in 2025. Time now for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. The Dow is down 21 to 33,596. The NASDAQ is down 61 to 12,195, and the S&P is down 13 to 4124. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit nxwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Checking the roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. 94 westbound downtown through the Zoo interchange all the way to Highway 16 there. About 17 minutes out to Pewaukee, so you're looking good getting out of the city. 4145 south, Highway Q to the Zoo. That's also on time. That's 15. 43 northbound, the Marquette up to Brown Deer Road. Typical trip up of 12 minutes. 94 to the south, also looking good from the Marquette to Layton. That's a 7-minute ride.
I'm Brett Matschke, and you're due for service.
Richlawns Tire and Service Centers. 5 locations and all easy to find. Visit richlawns.com when you're due for service.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast for the day today. Sunny, a high of 70. Tonight, clear sky, a low of 45. For Wednesday, sunny, a high of 75 tomorrow. A high of 80. 80 degrees on Thursday inland. Friday, some rain, a high of 76. Saturday, some showers and a high of 70 inland. Right now, in Milwaukee, it's 61. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:34.
You've been following the Donald Trump civil trial?
Yeah, waiting on a verdict on that one.
Yeah, they just got it. To me, it's such an interesting thing, including like one of our texters was asking if he made the decision not to show up in court and not to testify. And the question was, if he had testified in court and they had found the other way, would he automatically be guilty of perjury? And the answer is no. He'd have to be charged, and then you'd have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. But, I mean, he did give a deposition under oath where he just completely denied it. But the fact that he didn't show up in court and testify beyond that deposition, think the jury holds that against him?
I would think so, yes. I don't know. You tell me as the lawyer in the room.
Well, I mean, I've always I did criminal cases as a prosecutor, and they always tell a jury that because of the Fifth Amendment in a criminal case, you can't hold it against them that they didn't testify. In some respects, I always kind of felt that was a legal fiction. I mean, that's what the rules are and stuff. But I always personalize it because I thought if I was a defendant in a trial and I was accused of doing something and I didn't do it, I don't know about you, but I'd be on the witness stand saying I didn't do it.
Me.
No, I didn't do it. And so you wonder how that all plays out.
If he were to be found guilty and appealed, would the fact that he hasn't been in court affect the appeal at all?
No. I mean, that was a voluntary decision he made. I mean, it's a civil trial again, so you'd end up being found liable. I do think it's fascinating because he's got the CNN town hall coming up for tomorrow night, which is so interesting. Now he's back on CNN, but I would not be surprised if there is a verdict by then, and you would think that would be. How do you feel about this decision, especially if he's found liable?
It's got to be the first question, right?
Or you would think, and are you going to appeal it or whatever? It is really a fascinating time, and regardless of how people feel about Donald Trump, and I'm not a Donald Trump fan, it's just he's just as far as like he's just a catalyst for like all this attention, good and bad, always. When we come back. All right, we're all in favor of buying local, but what if buying local costs you money? I'll explain, we'll discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta, and I have told you about the delicious pizza and Italian snacks that you can find at Proof Pizza inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel. But now there's even more to be excited about. The restaurant has added new sandwiches to the menu. Available every day from 11 to 4, you can enjoy items like the Red Rock Chicken BLT, the Meatball Hero, and more. Order from the counter at Proof or directly from the bar at St. Kate. Explore the new sandwiches and the rest of the menu at proofpizzamke.com.
Your mother invested her life in you.
And she's extremely glad she did.
And there's another woman who believes in you.
Her life is all tied up in yours.
She deserves a diamond pendant that symbolizes the sparkling years she invested in you.
Because let's face it, you wouldn't be where you are without her.
And you need to get another diamond pendant exactly like it for the woman who is sharing her life with you today.
Diamond pendants are impossibly expensive. But Kessler's makes the impossible possible.
Just $149.
$149.
It's your way of recognizing that your life
and her life
are all tied up together.
$149.
You'll see the symbolism the moment you see the pendant.
And so will she.
Give her a diamond pendant for Mother's Day.
Impossibly priced at just $149.
Welcome to Kessler's.
To find the Kessler's nearest you, go to KesslersDiamonds.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So, very glad to have you with us. All right. When I fly, I almost always fly out of General Mitchell Field because it is convenient. The only times I think I haven't flown out of General Mitchell Field have been a couple occasions where we were flying overseas on like listener trips, and there was a bus to Chicago, and then you'd fly from Chicago to Frankfurt, Germany, and so I've done that. But as a general rule, I choose to fly out of Mitchell Field. I have a number of friends and acquaintances for whom scheduling is the most important thing. So if, depending on where they're going and when they are going, and also price, the preference is, of course, to fly out of Mitchell because it's more convenient. But I know for some various trips, it's cheaper, it's faster, it's more convenient, whatever, to fly out of O'Hare or Midway, and they'll do it. But, the preference would be to fly locally because it's easier to get there, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense to do that, which brings me to what I want to discuss with you. The county board has announced the new policy beginning Monday. All Milwaukee County employees that travel by air on county business will be required to begin and end their travel at Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport. So the county executive says, well, this is a logical change. If the county is paying for employees to travel, they must use our community airport. So today, I'm not only calling on business, but all local units of government to follow our lead, help support our hometown airport. So the deal is, if you're traveling, I think what they said, what's the numbers here? Between 2018 and 2020, approximately $1 million was spent on employee travel using a county travel credit card. So now the rule is, if you are traveling on business, you have to fly out of Mitchell Field and you have to fly back into Mitchell Field. So it might be that, you have to have a connecting flight. So rather than driving, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're flying somewhere that you can't get a direct flight out, rather than driving, say, to Midway and flying from Midway to wherever that might be, you have to fly from Milwaukee to a connecting point, change planes, and then fly to your ultimate destination. In addition, by this requirement, it could, in fact, cost more money. I mean, let us say, for example, just for the sake of argument, that you're going to Fort Myers for county business. Don't know what that is, but there's a handful of flights that leave Milwaukee and fly to Fort Myers. Okay, if you would be required to take one of those flights, despite the fact that if you drove to Midway or you drove to O'Hare, maybe you could get a cheaper flight. So what Milwaukee County is saying is, it doesn't matter the cost. It doesn't matter the inconvenience. You've got to use Mitchell Field. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. I appreciate the supporting the local airlines and the local airport. That on the one hand makes sense to me. But at the same time, if it is going to cost the taxpayers more, is this a policy that really makes sense? Should the policy instead be, if you are traveling on county business, you have to figure out the cheapest way to go, or you have to figure out the most efficient way to go? For example, what if because you've got to fly out of Mitchell Field, let's say you might need to make a connecting flight, and you can't do it all on that one day, you have to end up staying overnight somewhere, to get to your ultimate destination, as opposed to, getting in, the day earlier. I mean, does that make sense? Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Look, I understand the support your local airport. I appreciate it. I think it is a good policy as a general rule. But to me, when you are dealing with taxpayer dollars, just like if this was, corporate travel, I think one of the things that you have to consider is timing, but also price. So namely, if you're flying to Fort Myers and you can find a flight out of Midway that's direct and is $200 cheaper round trip than flying out of Mitchell, does it make any sense to require the employee to spend that extra $200? And by that, I'm rolling in, you drive down, you park your car, and you leave it there for a couple days, and all in, all done, looking, bottom line, if it ends up costing a lot more to fly out of Mitchell than it does to fly out of Midway or to fly out of O'Hare, does it make any sense to require people to still fly out of Mitchell? When it comes to dealing with taxpayer dollars, shouldn't we have the flexibility to say, okay, let's do what makes the most sense? Our preference is to fly out of Mitchell. All right, that's because we want to support the local airline, but at the same time, we also want to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. 855-616-1620. I mean, I'm trying to imagine a private sector business, and you had a business trip, you were flying to Miami or whatever, and you look and you say, okay, well, there's no direct flights from Mitchell to Miami. I don't think there are, but there's no direct flights. So I can find a flight where I change planes in Atlanta, and it's going to take me 6 hours to get there, and it's going to be $500. Pick a dollar. $500 one way. Or I can go down to Midway. I can fly directly, so I'm going to get there in 2 or 3 hours, and it's going to be $250. All right, does it make sense to say, all right, you've got to spend that $500? 855-616-1620. I would argue no. What do you think? We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, boaters! Truly the best supplier around for all of our boating needs. This place is magic. I call it my candy store for boating parts. This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And yeah, I said it, but these are the actual words of our satisfied and loyal customers. Boaters in the know exactly where to go, and there's a reason. We've got it all for our boater buddies. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
Now, I wasn't eavesdropping. I just happened to overhear him talking about us. He said if you know what you're looking for, just rummage around. You'll find it. And it's true, because we stock more boat parts and accessories than anyone. Even those oddball parts you thought you'd never find. This is Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's Murphy's Law, right? Put an AC guru from Team Austin up against Murphy's Law, and smart money is on us. Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And when we take your air conditioner apart, and just so you know, we will, our guru has the opportunity to see exactly where the problems are, or could develop in the future. It's not a rag snap in safety inspection and get down the road kind of a deal. Nope, we're coming at Murphy with torches blazing. By the time we're done, your AC isn't just reassembled, it's returned to factory fresh conditions and guaranteed against breakdowns all summer long. A machine that'll save energy dollars, not gobble them up. We're going to leave it a better running, more reliable version of itself. And if we find a cause for concern or future breakdown, let me coin a phrase. If we see something, we'll say something. Team Austin is here to help you win the war against summer heat. So back off, Murphy. Book your AC tune-up now and get a jump on the heat. Go to teamaustin.com.
If you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Let's take a minute of R&R. R&R Insurance, that is. R&R Insurance provides employee benefits to all of us here at Good Karma Brands. Business insurance is getting more complex these days. To share some knowledge about that is Jeff Salasinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Hey, Vince. Today's commercial insurance market demands the sharp focus of your insurance advisor. Thousands of insurance agencies have sold or merged their businesses. The result? Your agent can become consumed with integration issues and adjusting to a new culture. Preoccupied with systems and people issues that always come with that level of change. The impact this M&A has in your business can be disruptive, and they lose focus on you, the client.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
With 48 years of stability, local family ownership, and deep industry knowledge, R&R Insurance will be focused on you, the client, not the progress and payout of an acquisition. And the best part? We're not for sale. At R&R Insurance, we know business insurance.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. This to me is the perfect disconnect between government, when government is spending other people's money, namely our money, versus what you do with your own money or what you do with your business's money. If you're just tuning in, Milwaukee County has just announced this new policy that all their employees, when they are on public travel, must fly in and out of Mitchell Field. The idea is we want to support the local airport, which I have no problem with at all. But my question is, what if it's a lot more expensive to do that? What if you can get a flight out of O'Hare or you can get a flight out of Midway, even assuming the mileage costs or whatever, that is dramatically less than flying out of Mitchell? But we're going to fly out of Mitchell because it's the county-run airport, even if it costs the county money. What if the timing is such that, hey, if you fly out of, you drive down, let's say you have to be somewhere on a Thursday. Got to be somewhere on a Thursday. So because of the schedules, if you drove down to O'Hare, you could catch a 7 o'clock flight at night. You could fly out. You could be there by 10 o'clock. Because we don't have as many flights out of Mitchell, you'd have to take off of work early that whole day and be out of work a day to get to that conference. And yet we're going to say you have to do that because even though it's less convenient, even though it might cost the taxpayers more, we want to virtue signal and we want to have you patronize the airport. That's my issue. Most businesses sit there and they say, okay, what is the most cost-efficient way to travel? When you book your personal travel, my guess is that you look at different options, and that might very well be, hey, I want to fly out of Mitchell. It's easier than trying to deal with O'Hare. Believe me, I get that. But then you look and you say, if I fly out of Mitchell, it's X amount of dollars. If I fly out of Midway, I'm going to get there sooner. It's going to be cheaper, even accounting for, the mileage that I've got to drive down there. I'm just saying that isn't it fiscally responsible to say, all right, we can give a preference to the local airport, but let's look at the bottom line here, because if the idea is, well, we're supporting the airport, but it's costing us $300 or $400 more for a particular trip, are you really gaining anything? Jeff, with all our county fiscal issues, I think that they should use the cheapest travel available. So you've got, that. Now somebody's saying, hey, I fly out of Milwaukee all the time. I fly out of Milwaukee all the time too. But again, I know lots of people who don't. They look at, again, cost, which is a factor. They look at convenience. They look for direct flights and things like that. One of our texters says, Jeff, this makes no sense for the taxpayers. As a civilian, I always fly out of O'Hare because it's almost always $300 more to fly out of Mitchell and connect to Chicago. Well, that's a very good point. Now, what if that's the deal? In order to get where you're going, you have to, instead of taking a bus or driving down to O'Hare, you have to drive to Mitchell, so you're still parking there, and then you have to spend, you fly to Chicago, change planes there, and then take off. And again, I'm just raising the point that you would think that if we were going to be responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars, we try to find the most effective, not only convenient, but also the least expensive way to travel. And I'm not arguing that people should be forced to drive to O'Hare or forced to go to Midway just to save some money. But if driving to O'Hare or driving to Midway saves the taxpayers a few $100s and makes it more convenient, say, for the employee to do it, why wouldn't you, do that? And again, maybe it could work out the other way as well. A couple people are texting and saying, when we were trying to fly to a place, it was cheaper to fly out of Mitchell. That might very well be the case, and that makes sense. And I have no problems giving a preference to traveling out of Mitchell. But this is a requirement that you have to travel out of Mitchell, regardless of how much it costs. And that just doesn't seem to be responsible. Again, it's virtue signaling. It sounds good. It feels good. We're supporting local. But at the same time you're supporting local, you're screwing over the local taxpayers. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Oh, put me in, 'cause
No, he's not going to put you in the lineup. But luckily, this is the closest you can get to the skipper himself.
I mean, Robin is the all-time Brewer for sure.
Greg Council, every Tuesday on Wisconsin's Morning News at 7:45.
Willie is, I think, a player that, is capable of taking down some of the things that Robin has done.
This is Brewers 360, presented by Holiday Automotive and Outdoor Living Unlimited.
Previously, it has been gently loved. But here, you'll only find very well-conditioned premium home decor items that you likely won't find elsewhere. Distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original art, and other tasteful home decor at a value. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at 25 to 40% off retail prices in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com.
The new Burkhardt Sporting Goods is now open in New Berlin, and it is the baseball lover's destination. With a massive state-of-the-art indoor training facility featuring hit tracks with precision analytics, a huge open turf area, and all the best training equipment you need. And we carry the Midwest's largest bat selection from all the major brands that you can try before you buy. I'm Brian Burkhardt, and if you love baseball and softball like we do, you gotta see the new Burkhardt Sporting Goods on 155th and National in New Berlin.
You can't beat Burkhardt.
If you plan on draining buzzer beaters, the place to start is Burkhardt, where you'll find a great selection of shoes and court gear. But what's going to turn you into the next big thing on the court is practice. And there's no better place to do it than on your own court. Having your own hoop is an absolute must to hone your shot. And we'll help you get there with a great selection of basketball hoops and accessories. This is Brian Burkhardt, and I promise you, when you love basketball like we do,
you can't beat Burkhardt.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Well, it took a year and a half, but finally at least some sense of justice. Khalil Perry, this is the guy that was 14 at the time. On November 30th, 2021, he was 14 years old when he abducted a now 88-year-old woman outside the Waukesha Public Library. You remember this? This was a situation where he abducted her, he robbed her, he held a knife to her throat, he stole her car, and she said he sexually assaulted her along with this. This matter has been hanging fire since then as the defense attorneys tried to stall it. They fought having him into adult court. They raised issues with regard to his competency, and the prosecutors and Judge Jennifer Doro were trying to move this case along in part because of the age of the victim, and they didn't want to allow the defendants to kind of stall this until something happened to the now 88-year-old woman. So the matter was brought to trial in Waukesha Circuit Court this week. He was convicted on felony counts of armed robbery with use of force, operating a vehicle without an owner's consent, and kidnapping. He's looking at decades in prison. The jury hung on the charge of sexual assault. That means they could not reach a verdict one way or the other unanimously as to whether there was also a sexual assault. I don't know if the prosecution is going to retry him on that. My guess is, given the fact that he's looking at decades in prison and all the other stuff, they'll just go ahead and do it. But they'll go ahead and have him sentenced and just kind of move on from there. But the bottom line here is, in this case, some sense of justice when you have this 14-year-old monster who, again, kidnaps an 88-year-old woman at knife point, steals her car, and engage in clearly, an assaultive sort of behavior, armed robbery by threat of force. He will now be spending the next several decades in jail. Back with more in just a minute.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
All Brewers games are on sale now. Next up, the Crew battles the Royals for a weekend duel. Friday, May 12th through Sunday, the 14th. Fulfill your Jedi destiny at Star Wars Night on Saturday, the 13th. And receive a Luke Skywalker bobblehead with purchase of a special ticket package. Plus, take home a one-of-a-kind Brewers wristlet for 10,000 moms on Mother's Day. Sunday, May 14th. Presented by American Family Insurance. Get your seats today at brewers.com/promotions.
Well-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Heard it work? Contact Tayback for the payback. Go to taybackattorneys.com.
Your locally owned hometown station gives you the news and what it means to you. Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
101, 61 degrees, a high of 70 inland. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstead. Budget talks and more budget talks. Milwaukee police must share budget plans with the Milwaukee mayor's office today. TMJ4's Elaine Rojas Castillo.
Last month, the police department had to lay out how cuts to their department could lead to eliminating officer positions and as well as closing an entire police district altogether. During the initial presentations, the fiscal policy director for the mayor's office said that safety on our roads has been a priority to the mayor's office, like Vision Zero, which is used to prevent traffic deaths. But with police being one of the most expensive items on our city's budget, something may have to give.
We're also expecting to hear from the fire department. We'll be submitting budget plans as well today. No decisions will be made for several months. A Janesville high school coach now in jail after a recording device was found inside a girls' locker room.
An investigation leading police to 38-year-old Brian Kitzman. He's the assistant coach for the school's track and field and cross-country teams. Janesville PD announcing Monday that Kitzman allegedly admitted to his crimes.
He admitted he placed this GoPro, told us it's been going on for 2 years, and that by his estimation, 18 other persons were victims.
According to the criminal complaint, Kitzman had a door that connected to the girls' locker room and would film students through a hole in that door, as well as through a locker in the girls' locker room. Finn Askin, WTMJ News.
He's expected back in court later this month. With multiple Bucs stars on a contract year for the basketball team, pulling another partner in crime for Giannis may be more important than ever now. The Journal-Sentinel's Lori Nickel tells Wisconsin's Morning News that Giannis has some player-acquiring power.
Bucs fans adore him and know the personality. Don't think he would abuse that kind of power, but I do think there has to be some checks and balances, certainly within that organization. But you got to remember, Giannis and his brothers played basketball with the GM. John Horst. I mean, when you have that kind of relationship, the professional boundaries that keep things safe and easier, those are gone.
Chris Middleton has a player option for next year, and Brooke Lopez's contract has expired. Health experts are now saying that women should get screened earlier for breast cancer than originally thought. According to the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, women should begin their screening at 40 rather than 50. These guidelines apply to women who have an average risk of breast cancer, and it's recommended that women screen every other year. Dr. Carol Mangione is the immediate past chair of the task force. She tells ABC,
if you are a woman who has a genetic marker, like the BRCA gene, or if you have a first-degree relative who had breast cancer in her 30s, like a sister or a mother, that's outside of our recommendation. And when to start screening that individual is really recommended by other groups who do specialty care.
Sports, traffic, and weather next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
This report is brought to you by Rejuvenix, your non-surgical joint therapy experts.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
So when you're in a pain spiral, will stem cells or bone marrow harvested from your body and then placed back into your body get you out of it? For those willing to go through a very expensive and not exactly easy process, which is not FDA approved, it might. But for those not willing to pay exorbitant amounts to go through all that, especially knowing that pain relief is not a sure thing, it's not an option. At Rejuvenex, we inject powerful, FDA-approved treatments that reduce inflammation and pain, while improving mobility in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees. With some patients experiencing relief for greater than 2 years before repeating the process. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics, and we are in network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
What's the way to build your wealth?
If you want to be sure that you're getting financial planning advice you can trust, work with a fiduciary. A fiduciary should be someone who acts as a steward for you. It means they treat your assets as if they were their own, that they protect them as if they were their own, and that they try to grow them as if they were their own. Now you can take this for what it's worth, but I'm doing all I can to run a firm you can trust. That's why we're a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm that doesn't work for anyone but our clients and focuses only on their best interest. By being a steward, being a fiduciary to help our clients reach their financial goals. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies. What's the way to build your wealth?
The Milwaukee Brewers look to make it 3 wins in a row tonight, taking on the Dodgers in Game 2 of a 3-game series at American Family Field. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. Milwaukee just a half game back of the Pirates for first place in the NL Central. The NFL schedule will be revealed Thursday night at 7 o'clock, according to a release from the NFL. For the first time ever, the NFL will have a Black Friday game the day after Thanksgiving, and games and conferences no longer belong to specific networks. International games are expected to be revealed on Wednesday. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Checking the roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic, 94 westbound. From the Marquette through the Zoo interchange to Highway 16 is clear all the way out. That's 17 minutes. 4145 south, Highway Q to the Zoo. That's on time. That will take you the standard 15. 894 eastbound. Seeing some slowdowns as you roll through that stretch there. Be prepared for that, especially eastbound. We are seeing some cars that are on the they're in the left-hand shoulder, I should say, right around 60th. So be mindful of that. You're going to see slowdowns in both directions. Especially, though, eastbound on 894, some congestion there. Again, right around 60, you're going to see that as they're dealing with a car there on the side of the road. So extra few minutes in both directions of 894. Otherwise, 43 to the north, looking good from downtown up to Browndy Road. Standard at 12 minutes.
Traffic is sponsored by Built Right Furniture, Leather and Mattresses.
For affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses, you've got to get to Built Right today. Built Right Furniture saves you money. 54th and Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
WTMJ 5-day forecast tonight, clearing skies, temperatures fall into the mid-40s. Tomorrow, more sunshine with highs in the upper 60s by the lakefront and mid-70s inland. Thursday, more sunshine too, highs near 70 by the lakefront and near 80 degrees inland. Friday, highs in the mid-60s by the lakefront and mid-70s inland, but showers push back into the area. More showers expected on Saturday with highs in the mid to upper 60s, and on Sunday, still a few more showers and breezy, highs in the mid to upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Marissa Walls with the Storm Team forecast on WTMJ.
Right now in Madison, it's 61, Green Bay 68, Waukesha 67 degrees, and in Milwaukee 60. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. So, Eric Bilstead, one of the questions I've been getting when I'm out in public is now that we've started like doing the live streaming again, they said the question is, does that like change the way you dress? And I said, no, it doesn't change the way I dress at all. But also, does it change your facial expressions? Like if you get that caller that, people will say with like spoken word radio, and radio is, of course, theater of the mind. And it's like, I'm listening to this particular call or that text or whatever, and I can imagine the look on your face. Does it change, that because you're on cameras? And my answer is no. It never even occurred to me. It's just it is sort of what it is. Does it change the way you go about it?
A little bit. What I've noticed is one thing I have to remember is that when something is playing in a newscast especially, I may not necessarily be directly listening to some specific story. I might be working on something else or whatever. And especially if they're tragic stories, I might have like a smile on my face or I might be doing something different. I'm not paying attention to what's actually in my headphones at that moment. And that's not necessarily a good look when you're smiling and there's a story, some tragic story taking place that's on the air.
Interesting.
Got to make sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm doing.
I had one texter, and we get, I don't know about you during the morning news, but on my program, on a slow day, I'll get 500 texts from people, and on a busier day, it will be more than that. And I can't respond to all. But I look through and I scan, and every once in a while, I will respond to one that I think that I don't necessarily read on the air. So we were first doing this, and there was one that came, and it was kind of snarky, but the premise the person had was just wrong. I forget even what it was. So I respond to it, and then I get an even snarkier note back saying, well, I can tell Jeff didn't write this. It was the producer that sent this back. And so now I'm sort of intrigued. And, of course, this is why you don't respond to these things, because then you're down the rabbit hole. So I send back a question mark about why do you think I didn't. I was watching on the stream, and I could tell that you didn't respond. And I'm like, and I'm just kind of like, no, I don't know what to tell you here, because, I was probably doing it during a break, and we don't live stream during the break. But, people want to believe what they so.
I think that's true.
Trust me, Charlie does not respond to texts that come in directed to me. So if you get one back, for better or worse, it's coming from me.
And I can vouch for that. There's no way Charlie's doing that.
No, absolutely. So, but it is this kind of interesting dynamic. But this is just all another way of highlighting that we are live streaming as well, and we can keep track of the number of people who are watching this. And I'm just, it's primarily a spoken word radio, but it's just a different way for people to connect and stuff. And
the new world we live in.
And see this. So you're trying to look serious when we're talking about like the school bus that's going over the cliff or something like that.
Make sure that I'll make sure that people know that I'm not laughing at that.
But to answer the question, no, I don't change I haven't changed anything, and I don't even think about it, because the cameras are so, they're not invasive. They're just, and they're on.
Yep, you forget they're there.
You absolutely forget they're there. So I do try to remind myself, you got to be careful if you're going to scratch your nose, for example. You want to make sure that, it's a very overt, like scratching the nose as opposed to scratch. It was just a scratch, right? It wasn't a pick. That's the old Seinfeld thing. Yep. All right, so that's kind of how we look behind the scenes. All right, this is a somewhat difficult topic to talk about, because it is a controversy involving a word that we cannot say on the radio. Bob Huggins is he is going to be a Hall of Fame college basketball coach. If you, like me, are a long-term Marquette fan, you will remember when Bob Huggins was the coach at the University of Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a lot of great teams. Hutchins was very, very controversial in the day, because a lot of the recruits he brought in didn't graduate. But back in the day, if you graduated somebody from Cincinnati, everybody's going, how did that happen? But he brought in people. He was controversial. He ended up leaving Cincinnati, and he's been the coach at West Virginia for 15, 16, 17 years. And he is, again, he's a very, very successful, demanding coach. He's 69 years old. He goes on a Cincinnati radio station the other day, and he does an interview with a couple of the sports radio hosts who, by the way, are long-term friends of his. They're fishing buddies and golfing buddies or whatever. And I am not defending this I'm just offering an explanation. I think Huggins sort of forgets he's on the radio. and sometimes that happens. Every once in a while, when I have to, for example, hit the dump button here because somebody has said something that that I can't let go out over the air, I think it's just because people sometimes they forget. They think, hey, I'm talking to this guy on the radio, and I'm talking to Jeff, and Jeff's kind of my friend. I've been listening to him for 25 years, and they kind of forget that, all right, there's this radio thing, and they use a word that they don't necessarily intend to use. Bob Huggins, I think he's just having a conversation with a couple of his buddies, and maybe this is the way he talks privately, but he kind of forgets that he's doing a live radio interview. And in any event, he starts talking about Xavier, the Xavier basketball team, which is also based in Cincinnati, and were one of the big rivals of his Cincinnati program. And without going into too much detail, he sort of gratuitously uses a word that starts with F, which is a homophobic slur. All right, and you can always figure out what the word is, but he says it, oh, that's those blanks, using that word from Xavier or whatever. And then he repeats it, and he's kind of chuckling while he says it, and the hosts are kind of, after an uncomfortable silence, they're kind of chuckling, and, so this is out there. There is a controversy that emerges afterwards, and he then issues an apology for this because of, all the controversy that's developed. He says, this is what he says. Earlier today on a Cincinnati radio program, I was asked about the rivalry between my former employer, the University of Cincinnati, and its crosstown rival, Xavier University. During the conversation, I used a completely insensitive and abhorrent phrase that there is simply no excuse for, and I won't try to make one here, Huggins said in a statement released through West Virginia University. I deeply apologize to the individuals I have offended, as well as to the Xavier University community, the University of Cincinnati, and West Virginia University. As I have shared with my players over my 40 years of coaching, there are consequences for our words and actions, and I fully accept any coming my way. I am ashamed and embarrassed and heartbroken for those of who I have hurt. I must do better, and I will. So that's kind of the long and short of the story. I'm looking at a piece in USA Today this morning about this. There is nothing particularly, this is by somebody named Dan Walken. There is nothing particularly complicated about what should happen to Bob Huggins. If his boss, West Virginia Athletics Director Ren Baker, went on a radio show and said the highly offensive, homophobic things Huggins said on Monday, he would be fired before nightfall. If Baker's boss, West Virginia President Gordon Gee, said those same things, his tenure would be over in a blink of an eye. Heck, if a public-facing employee or executive of any American company said those things, we all know what would happen. So why would anyone hold a basketball coach to a different standard? This isn't about wokeness or cancel culture. This wasn't a slip of the tongue or an innocent mistake. This was a 69-year-old man going on a radio show in Cincinnati and gleefully using a term to describe gay people that was intended to denigrate fans of Xavier University, his former rival, and he did it twice without even a hint of hesitation or apology as it was happening. You might not like where the line has been drawn here. You may have grown up saying that word and don't think there's anything wrong with it. Maybe you even use it now in private because you believe certain groups of people aren't worthy of equality. But our society has decided that slur is no longer acceptable. And so when it is used so callously, so cavalierly, and said with the seeming delight that Hutchins said, he must go. All right. Our number, 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Incredibly successful coach, 40 years of coaching, goes on this radio show and says repeatedly that this, what we would all agree, I think, would be a homophobic slur. He has subsequently apologized for this. Should he lose his job? And I guess that's the question, not whether he was right or wrong. Clearly, he's wrong in this. But what are the consequences for this? And do you fire him for this? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Vince Vitrano here from Wisconsin's Morning News, here to tell you for the first time ever, you can download our show wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, you can listen to us now too. Listen time and time again to your favorite segments like Super Plow, The Legend of Sean Wendt.
So I got on the phone and I called Sean Wendt. I said, Sean, I need some help.
Fake promos. And more.
Why, in all that is holy, is that not?
Why isn't that the promo?
That's a great question.
Keep up with us on Wisconsin's Morning News wherever you get your podcasts.
Business owners, are you feeling the pressures of growing your business? Well, it's tough to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Insperity can help. They put over 35 years of HR experience to work, helping you with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance, all while giving your employees competitive benefit options. When your people thrive, your business can adapt, your business can prosper. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water. Got an old boat, a new boat in between. Kendor Marine, upholstery and parts, hard to find things. Kendor Marine. Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water. Everything you need but the water. Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water. Like a boat-loving kid in a candy store. Kendor Marine. If you have a question, we have the expertise at Kendor Marine. Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water.
Easy to find at 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin or KendorMarine.com.
Did you know that the Inflation Reduction Act can save you thousands on energy-efficient updates like new insulation, siding, windows, and more? And these dollars are in addition to Focus on Energy rebates. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling and S&E Insulation. As Department of Energy Century Club Award winners, my team has the proven skills and experience to help you take advantage of these unprecedented incentives. Get started at ALLRITE remodeling.com.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Eight 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. So Bob Huggins, head coach at West Virginia, formerly of Cincinnati, goes on a Cincinnati radio show with, I think these are like old-time buddies of his, golfing buddies and things like that, and really casually throws out a homophobic slur. Now there's all sorts of, he has apologized, says he's got to do better. There are calls to fire him. Does he deserve, I guess, a second chance? And I would hope that nobody would defend these remarks. It would have been inappropriate to say them in 1975, but certainly in 2023, to go on live radio and say this, you got to wonder, what was he thinking or what was he not thinking? Which does tell me these are probably phrases that he regularly uses in his private time. This was not misspeaking, okay? This was obviously a casual conversation, and I think he was kind of on the radio. But I guess he forgot he was on the radio. But the question is this something that he should be fired over? Jeff, the cancel culture is out for blood. There is no way to repent, and every mistake is punished to the extreme with no chance to atone. Jeff, he should be given a warning, and if he says that word again, then he should be fired. Jeff, I am a Catholic living in Virginia and the mother of future Xavier University student. Huggins was offensive, which is no surprise to anyone who knows him. He should face some consequences for the insensitive remarks, but is probably very lucky his remarks were directed at Catholics, right? I mean, the whole context of the remarks was he uses that homophobic slur, and then, and he throws Catholics into it as well. He may get a slap on the wrist at best from West Virginia. I'm not sure firing is the answer, despite his baffling ignorance. Jeff, it seems everyone's too touchy these days. I think everyone should take Aaron Rodgers' advice and relax. Jeff, it seems like locker room talk to me from the 70s and the 80s, inappropriate in 2023. And I'm going to argue it would be inappropriate to have said that on the radio or in the locker room in 1970 or 1980 might have been less of a story, but certainly in 2023. My question is, why wouldn't the radio host dump the segment the first time he used it? Yeah, that is an interesting sort of question that's there, and I mean, the radio hosts, apparently the problem didn't register with them because they could have dropped it. So what do I think should happen? First of all, I don't want anything that I'm about to say to be imagined as a defense of what Bob Huggins did and what he said. What he said was clearly and completely inappropriate. I guess I also, my issue, though, and I don't think it's a cancel culture thing, my issue is for so many things nowadays, we go right to the nuclear option, which is, he's got to be fired. And that's, I guess that's where I sort of draw the line. I think that, does he deserve to be disciplined for this? Absolutely. Absolutely. And what form does that discipline take? I don't know. Suspending him, West Virginia suspending him for a game, or barring him from doing the radio show or something like that. There are all sorts of punishments that you could implement to say that, look, we don't condone what he did was wrong, and there needs to be some consequence beyond simply, his apology. So I have no problem with that. And again, I don't know what the appropriate punishment would be. I mean, that's something that West Virginia has to figure out. I guess I do think that this idea that, okay, you go on this radio show, you say something really, really stupid and offensive, and now you're done. You're done. It doesn't matter, how successful you've been. It doesn't matter if your kids love you. It doesn't matter if, the people at the program love you. Boom, this 5 seconds of a radio interview, that's going to essentially end your career. And that's where I have a problem. If this was a situation where he was warned, okay, you can't talk like this, and he continued to do it, that might be a different story. But I do think, there is a possibility, and we should have a possibility for redemption. I'm told that, all the time, and I think that there is appropriate for that. I think that you do need to have punishment. I think you can figure out what that punishment is. But this idea that he, used that word twice in a way that was completely and totally inappropriate, demeaning, etc., all those sort of things, does there need to be some consequence? Absolutely. Do you fire him? That's where I have the trouble. To make him apologize, you punish him, and then, of course, if there's repeated conduct, that's a whole different story. But I just look at all the things that people can do and say in this world and have no consequences at all. Firing him seems to be extreme, and that is in no way endorsing what he said. And you would think at the age of 69 and having been in the spotlight for 40-plus years, you'd think he would know better, and it's disappointing that he didn't. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. All the glitz and glamour headed our way, and we've rolled out the red carpet just for them.
And a chopper up the third baseline, charging is Anderson. Bare hand throw across his body. Oh, my goodness. Brian Anderson.
It's the Brewers and the Dodgers. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05.
Backhanded by Adames. Throw, one out to first. In time. Oh, what a play by Adames.
We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. A couple years ago, my knee was acting up. As an athlete, I've played through pain before, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't compete in the sports I loved. I decided to check out Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's the best decision I've made. I felt no pressure to have surgery. That was important to me. We had choices. I ultimately did choose to have a procedure. I was in and out in just hours and back in action shortly after. I recommend meeting their doctors. Visit orthowisconsin.com today.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
If you were offered a guaranteed cash prize, would you take the offer or would you risk it to possibly win more? It's Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin Dells Take It or Leave It, where on May 27th, you could be chosen to play the Take It or Leave It game, where you could be one of several participants to have the opportunity to pick a case containing up to $100,000 in cash. It's the Take It or Leave It game, May 27th at Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin Dells.
See Ho Chunk Gaming representative for more details. a unique blend of jazz and rock vocal music that has been celebrated by generations. It's Blood, Sweat, and Tears, performing live Friday, July 7th, 8 p.m. at Ho-Chunk Gaming.
You made me so.
Tickets are on sale now through Ticketmaster.
When I die,
a renaissance of unbridled talent. It's Blood, Sweat, and Tears, July 7th at Ho-Chunk Gaming, Wisconsin Dells.
Must be 21 to attend concert.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
What particularly pains me about that last conversation is I'm not a fan of Bob Huggins at all. I remember from the days that he was the coach at Cincinnati when they were arch rivals with Marquette and played on a regular basis. There were just a lot of stuff that Huggins did that did not endear himself to me and the rest of the Marquette fans that were out there. Nevertheless, I think firing him for this would be extreme. I think it's certainly appropriate to keep him on a short leash and to punish him. We'll see how it all works out. WTMJ Breaking News time is 1:30 p.m. from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. Here's Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. The Milwaukee Public Museum is unveiling the fourth of 5 permanent galleries to be part of the new museum that will open in 2026. Living in a dynamic world will focus on the combination of geology, geography, and sociology, land, animals, and people. To see some of the renderings, text museum to the Old National Bank talk and text line. That's 855-616-1620. A Milwaukee police officer is accused of grabbing a woman's neck and pointing his department-issued gun at her head while he was off duty. 29-year-old Rodney Abernathy is being charged with 2 misdemeanors. Court records indicate that he had a relationship with the woman, but it did not meet the state definition of domestic violence. An internal investigation is pending with MPD. And nearly 30 speakers telling school board members Monday that they stand with a Wausau East high school student and his family. This coming after the school's band teacher, Robert Perkins, was not punished after directing racist and homophobic language at that student. Regardless, after an hour and a half of testimony, the board approved the contract renewal of Perkins. According to the Journal-Sentinel, the district's HR director said his contract couldn't be reconsidered because there was a timing issue with the renewal. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Looks like the Dow is up 0.79 points. It is up 0%, but it says it's in the green. The S&P 500 is down about 9.5 points, and the NASDAQ is down 51. That's a little under a 0.5% down. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic, and it looks like everything is looking good. No major accidents reported, and everything is looking green and good. No major slowdowns or delays.
Traffic is sponsored by TaybackAttorneys.com. Veterans benefits denied? Call Tayback for the payback. Tayback Law fights for those who fought for us. If you're a vet and have been wrongfully denied the VA benefits you're entitled to, call Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Patchy fog today, but then mostly sunny. A high of 63 at the lake, 70 degrees inland. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 45. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 68 at the lake, 75 inland. Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 70 at the lake, and now up to 80 degrees inland. Friday, we're going to see some showers and a high of 65. Saturday, exact same thing. Showers, a high of 65. In Whitewater, it's 66. In Racine, it's 62. And right here in downtown Milwaukee, it is 60 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1:33.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, all I got for my $55 million was one less lane of traffic and 8 minutes time saving. I'll explain. We'll discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Live life to the fullest. Hey, you hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. QC Kinetics gives people all around Milwaukee their quality of life by providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain, and not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. So where is your joint pain? In your knees, your hips, shoulders, maybe your back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. No surgery, no downtime, no steroids or harmful drugs. And Patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Well, finally being able to exercise or walk the dog, maybe enjoying time with the family, or just working your job. Whatever it is, don't wait another day. Call QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Give them a call, 414-285-3474.
Lane's Farm and Fleet is your one-stop shop for all your seasonal supplies. Like a 115-volt Hobart Handler 140 MIG welder, on sale $649.99. 5-quart jugs of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil in assorted grades, $22.99 after $10 mail-in rebate. And stay safe with auto-darkening welding helmets from KT, available in a variety of patterns, priced at $69.99.
Find value at Lane's Farm and Fleet.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But now, you can buy Beautyrest Hybrid and the highest-end Tempur-Pedic mattresses for nowhere near highest-end prices. Hassellus Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models, like the Beautyrest Queen Haven Bay. Was on sale for $1178, now just $471. Only a few remain, and they will sell out. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So, very glad to have you with us. All right, we are about to reap what we have sowed. Armed with a whole bunch of federal money and some county money, we decided that we were going to create this bus rapid transit line, which would run from essentially the east side, like Wisconsin Avenue, up Wisconsin Avenue, circle up to Hawley Road, then come back to Wisconsin Avenue, that would take people, if you rode it the entire way, you would go from the lakefront and it would dump you off at the Medical College Wisconsin, the Freighter Center that is out there. It cost $55 million. The savings in time was 8 minutes. So if you would ride it from beginning to the end, and I don't know how many people ride it from the beginning to the end, it saves you 8 minutes one way. Now, if you pick it up halfway along the route, obviously that savings of time is going to be less. So if you pick it up midway through the route, your savings is going to be 4 minutes. All right, so you get there 4 minutes faster. One of the ways that they accomplish this is by taking away lanes that are dedicated to traffic. And now here's the story, and they're in the process of doing this. Matter of fact, Channel 12 had this report yesterday. Let me share a portion of it with you. One of the busiest stretches in downtown Milwaukee now has bus-only lanes. By the end of this month, a good portion of Wisconsin Avenue, from Van Buren Avenue, which is down here downtown, all the way out to Hawley Road, will lose a traffic lane to the Milwaukee County Transit System buses. And so what they are doing is, in most of these places now, it's 2 lanes of traffic. If you want to drive, if you choose to drive your car and you want to drive from, I don't know, downtown Wisconsin, and you want to go out to American Family Field, or you want to go out to, I don't know, free plug, Balistreri's Pizza, or you want to drive out to the Medical College and you want to go along Wisconsin Avenue, right now, generally speaking, you have 2 lanes of traffic. You are going to lose one of those lanes of traffic. And they're in the process of painting the lanes. So the right lane is going to be dedicated to the bus and also to bicyclists. So if you are driving, well, you've got that one lane and one lane only. So Channel 12 goes out and they interview some people. They interview a young woman who's a Marquette University student. She says, I thought it was a good idea. I mean, I take the bus because, I don't have a car. So I thought if I could cut down my commute, I think that's cool. She thinks it's cool that you only have one lane instead of 2 because she doesn't have a car. She likes to ride the bus. Another rider says, this is, of course, bus riders. It'll cut down on some congestion with the traffic and stuff. So that might be a good thing. It'll cut down on some congestion with the traffic and stuff. So that might be a good thing. Well, it's not going to cut down on the congestion of the traffic. The traffic is going to have even more congestion because you're going to have all the cars that are going to be in one lane. Now, admittedly, for the bus, the bus isn't going to have to deal with, cars that are in, the right lane, but you're essentially going to be down to one lane of traffic. So can you, at any point in time, if you're driving your car, can you use the bus lane? And the answer is no, that you cannot. You can turn across the bus lane to make a right turn, but that's pretty much it. The bus system says once completed on each side of Wisconsin Avenue, buses and bicyclists will be allowed to travel in the far right lanes designated with bus-only markings and a solid white line. Other vehicles will only be able to use the bus-only lanes to turn right or parallel park, and then only in designated spots. And then they say that they think the police department is going to be, issuing tickets for people who want to drive in the bus lanes. But of course, the problem is that by clearing out this lane of traffic so only buses can use it, you cut down in half the space and the lanes that are available for people who are choosing to use their car to commute. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. As somebody who does, from time to time, travel from downtown out to Wauwatosa or even further, and who sometimes, depending on what time of day it is and whatever, sometimes I'll use the freeway, but sometimes I used to, again, use Wisconsin Avenue. That was one of the major, east-west thoroughfares. But now that it's down to one lane, this idea that, okay, you're going to reduce congestion, well, no, you're not going to fill up the bus lane, but you are going to double congestion because unless people just simply stop driving this route and try to find alternative routes, you have now made it so much more difficult for people in their cars, which is still the majority of the way that people travel and will be for the foreseeable future, to drive to try to get from downtown out to Waukesha or out to Wauwatosa, or from Wauwatosa downtown. And you've really, I think, if nothing else from the perspective of driving, you're in a situation where you're pretty much, I think a lot of people are going to end up jumping onto the freeway to come downtown or get out to, again, the medical college or wherever. And so all you've really succeeded in doing by creating this designated lane is increasing and enhancing congestion elsewhere. All right, our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. This is happening. I think a lot of us have thought that this was crazy to spend tens of millions of dollars to do this, with the idea that you're going to save at best 8 minutes on a bus ride. And to think that that's going to dramatically increase the number of people who are going to ride the bus. But the inconvenience that this is going to pose to people who aren't bus riders, I think it's just going to be amazing. And I think once people start finding that you no longer have two lanes of traffic driving out Wisconsin Avenue, I don't know if you can say that there's going to be a revolt, but I think, for the guy who says, well, I think it's going to reduce traffic congestion, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a disaster for people who choose to drive as opposed to taking the bus, which is still the vast number of people. So will this be a success or an abject failure? 855-616-1620, and it's happening because they're already painting the lanes. So if you're used to, I don't know, at rush hour traffic or whatever, driving out Wisconsin Avenue in two lanes, that's going to end very, very soon if it hasn't ended already. 855-616-1620, all for 8 minutes of time. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
I want to talk about annuities and variable life insurance policies. And I'm going to come right out and say that I've never been a fan of either. In fact, in over 30 years, I have rarely recommended annuities to clients. And in that same time, I've never recommended a variable life insurance policy. Now, it's always a matter of opinion, and there are two sides to every story. I just want to make sure that you've heard both sides for both options. So if you're looking at those types of products, give us a call, because it's prudent to hear all sides. At the very least, we can give you the pros and cons and help you make a good decision. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
I know. When you think about inflation, your stomach feels like it had day-old sushi from the corner convenience store. So let Team Austin put a soothing coating of confidence in there. Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The best way to avoid buying a new furnace, AC, or water heater? Take care of what you got now. My plumbing technicians don't just fix problems you already have. They know problem spots to look for. Raggedy hoses, stubborn spigots, crusty, rusty water heaters, those kinds of things. And then they'll advise you on what to do next. Same deal with Team Austin's Heating and Air Gurus. They'll make sure you have all the information you need to make the best decision, one that will satisfy you and your budget. Because why replace something sooner than you have to? Austin Plumbing, Heating, and Air, home of comprehensive care for your plumbing, heating, and air. Online at teamaustin.com.
Ready to downsize and move from your longtime home? Call Bruce's team today. Their senior real estate specialist will guide you every step of the way. Go from overwhelmed to I can do this. 262-242-6177. Bruce'sTeam.com.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Your pain is likely due to a wear and tear process called osteoarthritis. Now, when you combine that with being a little overweight or not being as active as you'd like to be, you get into a downward pain spiral. At Rejuvenex, we control pain by precisely targeting and treating the areas where your pain lives, like shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, with our powerful FDA-approved treatments that cushion and lubricate the affected areas to deliver long-lasting pain relief. Now, like maintenance on a car, to maintain your relief, our team of physicians will follow up with you roughly every 6 to 18 months. My name is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. Rejuvenex is in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Eight 855-616-1620. Jeff, horrible idea. There are 100 times the amount of cars on the road. The buses should not trump a car lane of traffic. Just wrong at the foundation of the argument. Jeff, $55 million to save 8 minutes. It's another example that large urban areas are just not well run. Jeff, a driver might have to wait for 2 or 3 light changes if someone is trying to make a late left turn off of Wisconsin Avenue. Well, that's it. Jeff, doesn't this just open up the lane for reckless drivers? At least the congestion puts some slowdown in place. What happens when someone blows down that lane at 70 miles an hour? Well, yeah. I mean, this is Milwaukee. I'm sure that none of those reckless drivers are going to pull into the bus-only lane and the bicycle lane and drive 70 miles an hour. That's just not going to happen, right? Let's start with Lamar in Orlando. Lamar, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Well, really quick, we just spent $2.3 billion on toll lanes in the middle of Florida's freeway that has done little to nothing to break congestion, but that's 21 miles. That's another story for another day. But as a former transit operator, and I was also the lobbyist for a few years, this is a bad idea. I think that it would be a better use of funds with respect to planning, especially with the development going on downtown and all the people moving downtown with respect to corporations and jobs, the freeway flyers, and then give a dedicated lane during rush hour to buses or HOV. That would make a lot more sense. A lot more traffic. It would get a lot more usage and I think it'd be a better bang for the buck. That one stretch down Wisconsin Avenue, and I've driven that as a bus driver. It ain't that bad. Not $55 million worth.
Oh, right. No, thanks for well. Right. There were so many different things they could have done. For example, you could have given the bus drivers on that route. You could have given them. You could have designed this so they could have altered the lights, for example. So if they're coming up on a light, they could hit a button and they could extend the light, maybe, another 15 or 20 seconds so they could have gone through it. You could have done things like that if you wanted to speed this up a little. But no, look, let's understand what this is all about. This isn't about we think that the bus ridership is going to dramatically increase if you knock 8 minutes off. And again, it's only an 8-minute savings if you ride it all the way from the lakefront all the way out to the medical college. It's if you pick it up a third of the way, it's even less, or half. It's even less. Let's understand what this is all about. This is about forcing people out of their cars. It is about making it so congested with cars and so difficult to drive that the idea is people will voluntarily just say it's too much of a hassle, so I'm not going to travel this route, and I'll take a bus. Well, I don't think that's what's going to happen. First of all, people are going to take alternate routes. They're not getting out of their car. It's not like, oh, my God, this has now just become a nightmare, so I'm not going to drive. It's more likely, all right, I'm not going to drive into downtown, or I'm not going to drive out from downtown, but particularly I'm not going to commute in from downtown, or I'm going to go and I'm going to add to congestion on the freeway. And we're spending all this money, and you're not gaining anything. This is, again, like we were talking about in another segment, this is, to me, it's virtue signaling, pure and simple. We want to be modern. We want to have, mass transit. Look at this. We've got this dedicated lane. Well, okay, that's fine, but there's not that many people that ride the bus to begin with. There's just not. There's a projection that if we do this, you might get like 9,000 people riding the bus by 2035, which is 12 years from now. Who knows what 12 years from now is going to look like? But it's easy to make these projections because you never have any accountability, because all the people that made them, they're not going to be around 12 years from now. They're going to be doing other sorts of things, so they're never going to be held accountable. Meanwhile, it's the people who are trying to drive around this city in 2023 who are now finding, God, I've lost a lane of traffic. I've lost a lane of traffic on one of the busiest streets in a big connector, all so that a bus can roll around every 15 minutes, and I had to spend $55 million to do it. It's just absolutely nuts. So understand what's going on here. This is a stalking horse. We're trying to force people out of cars, and now that there is this dedicated lane, again, there's some people that want to have light rail all through the system. The argument is going to be at some point in time, well, now we've got this dedicated lane. We can just tear up that bus lane, and we can just put in the tracks and run the light rail there. Mike, who is in his vehicle. Mike, good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm down here around the Mayfair on Highway 100. Since I've been, there's been a total now of 6 buses that have gone by me, and there has not been a single soul in any of them. I think part of the problem is that I don't even know how much passenger ridership there is to start with the buses in Milwaukee. Hardly enough for us to justify all the dollars we're spending on it. And I would think if they just divide the number of riderships by the total budget of what they're spending, plus the cost of gasoline to run these big monsters, divide that by number of rides and maybe provide an Uber for people.
Yeah, or
far cheaper, far easier.
Right.
They'd save a lot of money, and then they could possibly utilize that extra savings on employing people to pick the garbage that's up all over the streets in this city that makes it look like the inside of a damn garbage truck, no matter where you walk. On Capitol Drive and all these major thoroughfares.
Yeah, Mike, thanks. I mean, there's so many different things that are going on there. You're right. If you look at the cost per rider, yeah, maybe it's just cheaper to Uber people or buy them, buy them used cars or whatever. But again, that's not what. And when you have this conversation and you try to be practical about it, oh, you don't care about mass transportation, and don't you realize this is the future? Well, I live in the real world. And first of all, like our first caller, Lamar, who worked for the county transit system, acknowledges there and agrees with there are things that you could do to make it easier to get around. And I'm not against Okay, making it a little bit easier to, maybe faster for that one person that's going to ride the bus all the way out there. But let's look at the other things, too. Generally speaking, people are going to take this. All right, let's be real. All right, you've got an appointment, let's say, to go out to, Fredert. I mean, seriously, are you going to drive or are you going to ride the bus? Well, you're going to drive. That's how people are going to get out there. Okay, so maybe you work at Fredert and you live, I don't know, somewhere in Wauwatosa or whatever, and you don't have a car. All right, well, you need it to get to work. Like, for example, this Marquette University student says, well, I think it would be really cool to have this bus because, I don't have a car. Well, once she graduates from school, she's going to get a job. And you know what the first thing she's going to do? Maybe it's going to be get an apartment. But you know what the second thing she's going to do when she starts working? She's going to buy a car, because she doesn't want to be dependent on public transportation. And this isn't a knock on public transportation. I appreciate that it has a role there. But at the same time, cars have a role as well. And this idea that we're going to create a dedicated bus lane at the expense of public transportation, that's what I think is just crazy about this. Richard on the north side. Richard, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. What do you think?
I know that route very well, the area, and it's going through heavily, residential areas.
Yep.
And the roads are fairly narrow.
Yep.
Where, if they want to enhance the ridership, where are these people going to park their cars? Than in front of people's homes and on side streets.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So, like, for example, let's say you want to take this high-speed bus, but you live, I don't know, 6 blocks, 8 blocks away from the bus, or a mile away. You live north of Wisconsin Avenue in Wauwatosa or whatever. Chances are you're going to get in your car, you're going to drive closer because you're not going to walk a mile to hop this fast bus. Even if you want to take it, you have to have a place to park. If you live around that area, you have to have a place to park, and now we've pulled all that out.
Well, not only pulled it out, now it's additional vehicles that don't, they're, in theory, new riders that are taking the bus, and now it's congesting the parking in front of people's homes for heaven knows how long every day.
Yep. No, thanks for the call. Absolutely. And, businesses in the area. I mean, I'm trying to imagine like the right turns, because you're going to have to, you make the right turn, so you got to cross the bus lane. Look, this is one of these things that I understand. You've got these urban planners who, again, they hate automobiles. And their idea is, let's try to do everything we can to force people out of their cars. We're just going to make it so difficult for them to drive that they're just going to throw up their hands and say, okay, I'm going to hop on the bus. I don't think that's how it works in the real world. What ends up happening is they find alternative routes, or they simply move out of the area if it becomes too much of a hassle. This is what you get for $55 million, and you're going to start to see it soon. Already the lanes have disappeared. We're from the transit system. We're here to help you. Not.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
There are heroes among us who run toward danger rather than away from it. We call them first responders. This is Steve Scafidi. WTMJ is partnering with Educators Credit Union to honor police officers, firefighters, and countless others who work every day to protect our families and loved ones. Do you have a first responder you would like to nominate? Go to WTMJ.com, click on the Salute to Service banner, and share your story. We'll bring you the incredible stories during Salute to Service month in May.
Steve Scafidi's Salute to Service with Educators Credit Union. Details now at WTMJ.com.
The Simply Yours sofa from Penny Mustard is like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Because you choose your own features.
Arm style, cushions, back, legs, finish, fabric, color, everything.
If you choose to slay the dragon, turn to page 34.
But to choose a sofa that's the envy of all your friends, turn to Penny Mustard.
Choose your own furniture adventure. Come see the Simply Yours sofa, made in the USA with a solid wood frame and ultra-high-density foam cushions, starting at $21.68 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
In Wisconsin, making memories together is for everyone, whatever your ability. So here's to soaking up surf culture right here on Wisconsin's Fresh Coast. to making time for stargazing as a family and to imaginations cleared for takeoff. Here's to Festies with Besties and singing along to your favorite song. Here's to those who Wisconsin. Start your summer getaway at travelwisconsin.com.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers, not just here, but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 3-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows, you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
You can't see it, but you sure can feel it. The economy is struggling right now. How might this impact your retirement? This is Tony Drake, founder of Drake & Associates. Some retirement plans take into account economic downturns, stock market dips, and interest rate fluctuations. Does yours? To find out how your retirement could be impacted, request your Retirement Ready Toolkit from my team at Drake & Associates by calling or texting recession to 414-404-4994. This toolkit will provide helpful retirement information and give you strategies to move forward. Request your Retirement Ready Toolkit to find out ways you can prepare now for your retirement. Call or text recession to 414-404-4994.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Law Financial Group, LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply any level of skill or training.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. We're passionate about continuing on our mission to help more Wisconsin businesses create more success. If you have any questions about our insurance products or just want a second opinion about your insurance or employee benefits, I invite you to check out ANSI.com, or better yet, give us a call at Yancey & Associates. And let's have a conversation about your business and how we can help you secure, protect, and grow your version of the American dream.
When you breathe well, you live better. Find out more at adventknows.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it is 60 degrees. Today, mostly sunny, a high of 63. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore Pooley. Breaking news, there is a verdict in the civil case for battery and defamation brought by E. Jean Carroll against former President Donald Trump. That will be read in the next couple of minutes at a courthouse in New York City. We will bring you the latest as this story develops on WTMJ. The funeral for St. Croix Sheriff's Deputy Katie Leising will take place Friday from 9 to noon. With public visitation at Hudson High School, police honors to follow that. Leising was shot and killed while performing a field sobriety test. Folks who want to help donate to her family can drop off checks at any credit union in Wisconsin. Those checks should include for the benefit of Officer Leising. Governor Tony Evers has also ordered flags to be flown at half-staff this Friday in Leising's honor. An iconic attraction, the Snake Button, will be carried over into the new Milwaukee Public Museum.
A secret to pass between generations of museum visitors.
There will definitely be a snake button.
Milwaukee Public Museum unveiling the fourth of 5 permanent galleries to be a part of the new space. Living in a Dynamic World will focus on a combination of geology, geography, and sociology.
As always, we are looking at ways to bring what is nostalgic and what's powerful, what people remember, to the future museum. But we'll also say there's always going to be some surprises.
Helen Diviak from Think Design, the 5th and final reveal coming up later this month. Vince Vetrano, WTMJ News.
Text the word museum to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620 to have a look at sketches of that new gallery. A Janesville high school coach now in jail after a recording device was found inside a girl's locker room.
An investigation leading police to 38-year-old Brian Kitzman. He's the assistant coach for the school's track and field and cross-country teams. Janesville PD announcing Monday that Kitzman allegedly admitted to his crimes.
He admitted he placed this GoPro, told us it's been going on for 2 years, and that by his estimation, 18 other persons were victims.
According to the criminal complaint, Kitzman had a door that connected to the girls' locker room and would film students through a hole in that door, as well as through a locker in the girls' locker room. Finn Askin, WTMJ News.
Kitzman will make his second court appearance on May 17th. Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:04.
There's a race going on inside your body, and sometimes the bad guys, otherwise known as arthritis, get there first. That's when the joint pain kicks in.
Your healing process is just too slow and just can't catch up, and it needs just a little bit of help from QC Kinetics.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a QC Kinetics medical director.
We all know that you can heal yourself. If you get a cut, it heals on its own. Your joints are no different. We can take the healing properties from your blood, concentrate them down, and put them in the spot that you need the help. It's amazing. Your body can heal itself.
At QC Kinetics, that's called regenerative medicine. No surgery or steroids, just lasting relief, the natural way.
The fact that we can treat them without surgery, but using their own body's natural healing process, without medications, without steroids, without surgery, it's just amazing.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Differentiation Officer Brian Wickert reminding home shoppers that working with Accunet is different and better than working with your bank. Most bank pre-approvals state they've only verified the potential home buyer's credit, but not their income or money for down payment. To us, that's just crazy. Accunet's rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval tells the seller we've checked out all three aspects of your financial health, and that we'll pay $2,000 if our pre-approval is faulty. Banks don't do that, but they do have a lot of overhead with all their vice presidents and fancy branches. We keep overhead low, which means lower rates and closing costs that are typically $1,000 to $3,000 lower than banks. Most importantly, our loan consultants can show you and your agent how to improve your financing and appraisal contingencies so your offer has the best chance of winning in a multiple offer situation. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Click on the blue button today for your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
The Milwaukee Brewers look to make it 3 wins in a row tonight, taking on the Dodgers in Game 2 of a 3-game series at American Family Field. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. Milwaukee just a half game back of the Pirates for first place in the NL Central. The NFL schedule will be revealed Thursday night at 7 o'clock, according to a release from the NFL. For the first time ever, the NFL will have a Black Friday game the day after Thanksgiving, and games and conferences no longer belong to specific networks. International games are expected to be revealed on Wednesday. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. The only thing reported right now is a disabled vehicle. It is on the ramp from Holt Avenue to 4394 southbound. It looks like there's some cars stopped there, maybe the responders as well. But it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. That is pretty much the only thing to report, though. Everything is looking good, and there are no accidents reported.
Traffic is sponsored by Evans Transportation Services. Thank heavens for Evans. Rely on one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking. Evans Transportation Services. Family owned for 40 years and continuing to grow. Evans Transportation Services in Brookfield.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. We got mostly sunny skies today, a high of 63 at the lake, 73 degrees inland. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 45. Tomorrow, mostly sunny again, a high of 68. Thursday, still mostly sunny skies, a high of 70 at the lake, up to 80 degrees if you're more inland. Friday, showers, a high of 65, and Saturday, pretty much the same thing, showers and a high of 65 degrees. Right now in Madison, it is 64. In Green Bay, it's 68. In Waukesha, it's also 68. And in Milwaukee, it is 60 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore Pooley. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back. As Wyatt was just telling you, the federal jury, has reached a verdict in the civil trial over E. Jean Carroll's battery and defamation claims against former President Donald Trump. this is sort of record time. The jury is 6 men and 3 women. I don't believe they need to be unanimous in this. I think I think you need 7 out of 9. I'm not. They must be unanimous to reach a verdict. So they do have to be unanimous. So there's the 9 people. They've only had the case for about 3 hours. Now, a couple of people asked me during the break, what does this typically mean? In a criminal case, and this is my perspective as a former prosecutor, in a criminal case, if you get a verdict this quickly, it almost always means that it's a guilty verdict, unless you'd had just really an incredibly weak case. But this would normally be like prime prosecution time if it were a criminal case that the jury would come back. Civil case, it might be a slightly different sort of dynamic. In addition, because first of all, the jury has to reach the verdict. And there's 2 different counts. One is the battery count. That's the sexual assault. And the second then is the defamation count. This is the one where after she came forward with her claims, he went public and said she was a liar. So she's being sued there. If the jury unanimously believes the claim, it can award her punitive damages meant to punish Trump for the alleged sexual assault and the defamation, and actual damages to compensate her for the harm the jury finds Trump caused her. Now, they don't have to award punitive. First of all, you only get to the damage question if you find for Ms. Carroll as opposed to former President Trump. So if you find that he's not liable, you don't even have to take up the damage question. If you find that he is liable, then you have to decide, okay, what are actual damages, and then you want to award punitive damages. Punitive damages are awards designed to punish him for the behavior. And Carroll's lawyers have not suggested an amount in damages for the jury to consider. So it's tough again because this is a civil case. My instincts tell me that this jury is going to find against Trump, but I could very well be wrong. This is a lot of times in the criminal cases, I have very, very strong feelings about this. In this particular situation, I think it's up for grabs, but I think there were a number of things here. First of all, if you saw Trump's video deposition, he did not help himself, which could possibly explain his decision not to testify or even to attend the trial. In his video deposition, he was himself. He was very antagonistic. He was argumentative. He was, oh, she's not my type, and then looks at one of the female lawyers and frankly, you're not my type either. It's that kind of gratuitous stuff that I think Donald Trump is not a warm and fuzzy guy, and he didn't appear that way, at least in some of the portions of the video deposition that I think that was played. And I doubt that played very well with the jury. So I think that, there was a degree of unlikability. The biggest thing that the Trump defense has going for it is, again, her vagueness and the fact that she can't pin this down even to a year when it happened. But at the same time, I don't think he helped himself in his video deposition. And then there were things like where he would say, she's not my type. And then apparently there was a point where he confused a picture of the plaintiff for his ex-wife Marla Maples. Yeah, she's not my type, but well, okay, but you ended up getting that wrong. He did not help himself with the depositions, I think, and so I'm not sure that he's going to be viewed as a very sympathetic figure for the jury. But in any event, this is kind of a record time to reach a verdict like this. And if they've decided to find for the plaintiff, it's sort of a record time to award damages, because you have to argue, okay, what are the damages going to end up being? In any event, the jury has reached a verdict, and I think everybody's assembling. He will not be in the courtroom, but we should have that verdict very, very soon. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. At Creative Planning, we custom tailor your portfolio to help you achieve your ideal financial future. You'll see how our wealth managers work with in-house CPAs and attorneys to ensure your money is working as hard as it can for you. Why not give your wealth a second look? Visit creativeplanning.com. That's creativeplanning.com.
This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here to tell you about Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. If you are looking for affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses, you really have to do what a couple of my family members did. They went to Built Right. When you get to the store, you're going to find a 45,000 square foot showroom with thousands of furniture items in stock, plus over 500 mattresses. This includes a huge selection of USA and Amish-made furniture, plus better quality imported furniture for any size home. Also, check out Built Right's over 48 models of in-stock power lift recliners. Special and custom orders are much faster if you do it in 2023 than before. Free in-store design services are available. And now is a great time to get to Built Right, as their 5th generation sale, well, it's ending on Saturday. Built Right, voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association 2023 National Retailer of the Year Award. How cool is that? Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. For personalized shopping, call to book an appointment. Sunday they're closed to be with family. When you get there, be sure to tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to Built Right, 54th and Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
I'm not against shopping online. In fact, you can check out our huge selection at BurkhardtSportingGoods.com. But when you're ready to buy, Burkhardt should be your only stop. Because here, you can grab hold of the Midwest's largest selection of baseball bats, gloves, and equipment, and take all the swings you need in our indoor batting cages to make sure you buy the right bat. And when you buy your new mitt, we'll steam and custom fit it for you right on the spot. This is Brian Burkhardt, and when you love baseball and softball like we do, you can't beat Burkhardt. If you're in charge of uniforms and equipment, you want to get the most value for your team's budget. You want the most for your money, and you want the process to be easy. Because you already have enough on your plate. We get it. Burkhardt Sporting Goods Team Outfitting Division is the best you'll find. With an abnormally high customer satisfaction rate and our own silk screening and embroidery facility for quality control. So if you want the highest quality team outfitting and incredible service, you can't beat Burkhardt.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
All right, breaking news. We have a verdict. The Manhattan jury hearing evidence in E. Jean Carroll's federal lawsuit according President Donald Trump of raping her decades ago has reached a verdict. It has just been announced. And perhaps no surprise given the speed with which the jury returned its verdict, only 3 hours of deliberation. Donald Trump was found liable of sexual abuse and defamation, ordered to pay more than $5 million in damages by the federal jury in the lawsuit accusing him of raping Carroll in a Bergdorf Goodman fitting room decades ago. The 9-person panel, 3 women and 6 men, reached the decision Tuesday after 3 hours of deliberation following 8 days of trial. The jurors were tasked with determining whether the 45th president is liable for battery in the case accusing him of sexual assault. They also needed to determine whether he defamed her when he publicly denied her allegations. So $5 million. $5 million. Our number, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Your reaction to the verdict, and in particular, all right, how is this going to play out? Let's talk about the politics of this. Does this make Donald Trump even more of a victim? I mean, Donald Trump has portrayed himself, I've got these charges against me for this hush money thing in New York. That's all a BS case. I'm a victim, raise money. Does this verdict, in some sort of weird way help him politically, or is this just another brick in the wall? Does this hurt him? Your reaction, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Jeff, even though I feel Donald Trump is a real piece of work, I don't know how you make anybody liable for something that happened over 20 years ago, especially when your accuser doesn't even remember the details of it. I just think this opens the door for more random false accusations of anyone. Jeff, I was a huge Trump supporter, but not anymore. That being said, what's to stop every woman from 30 years ago to come forward with no proof and try to sue somebody? To me, that is ridiculous. Capital letters, one of our texters. Lock him up. Well, it's not a criminal trial. It is a civil case, but he's been ordered to pay $5 million. He lost this in record time. And like I say, the federal jury had to be unanimous. So my guess is that there wasn't, look, by the time you get a case like this, you go back, you elect yourself a foreman, you get a cup of coffee and a donut, and you start taking votes. I don't think that there was probably a lot. My sense would be there's probably not a lot of, I don't want to say discussion, but I want to say disagreement in connection with this. 855-616-1620. Jim in West Bend. Jim, you're first. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jim.
I was just wondering about the statute of limitations.
Okay.
Don't they have anything like that in the state of New York?
Well, it's...
Or this is a federal case?
No. Okay, well, thanks for the call, Jim. Here's the answer to your question. Yes, there is a statute of limitations, and typically for something like this, it would be 5 years. Why then can you bring a claim for something that occurred in the mid-1990s? It is because New York created a window of, they decided we're going to allow people, it's like a 1-year window that I think went back to, November of a year ago. I'd have to look exactly when they did it, but they created a 1-year window where people could bring cases like this that the statute of limitations would have otherwise expired, which is that's what's opened the door. And E. Jean Carroll, she filed the lawsuit the first day that people were allowed to bring these various lawsuits, whatever that date was. So yes, there is a statute of limitations, but they created a special 1-year window where you could bring old claims. How many other old claims have been filed, don't know. 855-616-1620. Jeff, the verdict is ridiculous. From my perspective, this was completely political and a money grab. They are making him a martyr. I bet his polling will go up. Jeff, the verdict is irrelevant. If it's him against Biden, I will vote for Trump. Would really rather have 2 other people running. Well, I think there's a lot of Republicans who, just feel that it's important to move on for Trump. Does this make it easier for this to happen? Jeff, do you think this 1-year window was open just to get at Trump? I'm sure that was a factor. I'm sure that could have been a factor. Jeff, once a creep, always a creep. I'm sure, if you watch this video of the deposition he gave, it does kind of explain some of the reasons why they wouldn't put him on the witness stand at the trial. Because, frankly, whatever you think of him, whatever you think of Donald Trump, he's as I was saying earlier, he's not warm and fuzzy. They asked him about the Access Hollywood stuff, where he's saying, well, if you're a star, you can grab women by this part or that part or whatever. And he said, yeah, I said it because it's true. And then they said, oh, do you think you're a star? I certainly do. So it's kind of like, all right. I'm sure that if I'm on that jury, male or female, and I understand some people are saying it's political, male or female, I think he didn't do a lot to endear himself. Can he appeal? Absolutely. He can definitely appeal. Jeff, they just wanted the money. It's too bad about Trump. Jeff, $5 million is $5 million in less than 2 weeks for the trial. I'm going to say he molested me as well. 855-616-1620. Jeff, let's see. Let's talk to Gianni in Montello. Gianni, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon. Gianni.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Listen, I'm surprised at the verdict. I thought it would go the other way. And I guess my question to put out there is, on what basis did the jury come to this conclusion? Was it a testimony, eyewitness testimony? Was there physical evidence? How do they draw this conclusion? And I think this opens the door to, other perhaps frivolous lawsuits, where does it end?
Well, I mean, I think that, to answer your question about where the evidence came from, this was a she said case. I mean, she came in and there was no physical evidence. There wasn't any contemporaneous police reports. There wasn't any, as somebody who back in the day prosecuted at least just a handful of federal sexual assault cases, a couple of rape cases. I mean, normally if you're, and that was a criminal context, but you typically have physical evidence. Somebody says they were sexually assaulted, and there's an exam that is done, and you can determine whether or not there was sexual contact, and sometimes you can develop some of the circumstances. None of that was present here. To answer your question, they believed her by a quote-unquote preponderance of the evidence. This wasn't a beyond a reasonable doubt that is criminal case, but this is a preponderance of the evidence, 50-50. So the evidence here was essentially she said it happened. She had told a couple of her friends that it had happened. They testified that this is what she told us, and then the plaintiff brought in a couple other women who said Trump had done this to us, something similar, not exactly the same thing. But yeah, I was on an airplane and Trump did this, or I forget where the other woman said it was when she was groped. But they brought in other people who said, yeah, this is the stuff, this is the type of thing, he did this to us as well. And Trump did not testify at the trial, but he did give a deposition where he said, no, that this didn't happen. The jury didn't believe him. They did believe her, and that's it. Now, somebody was saying, can they appeal? Yeah, definitely. There will be an appeal. There'll be an appeal of the damage award. There'll be an appeal. One of the issues that I think will be raised, and I'm not saying I think it has any merit, but it's kind of the other, what they call the other acts evidence, bringing in, allowing other people to testify that something similar happened to me, because that's powerful. I mean, the implication is, well, he did it to her, and now there's other women that say that he did something similar to them. It tends to buttress her story that, yeah, if he did it to other people, he probably did it to her as well. That's always a very controversial decision, and I have no doubt. Look, and I don't know what the state of the law is in civil cases like this when it comes to what they call other acts evidence. But that'll be an appeal issue. Was the judge right to allow testimony of other women who say similar sort of things happened to them? That's going to be an appeal issue, and it's going to take a while for this to move through the courts. I am going to be interested because, like I say, Trump's got this town hall on CNN coming up tomorrow night, and I'm sure one of the questions is going to be, how do you feel about this particular situation? But in any event, kind of record time. Jury got it. 3 hours. They have now come up with a verdict, and they find $5 million has been awarded to E. Jean Carroll. Will this hurt Trump among Trump fans? I guess too soon to tell, but as I've argued before, at some point in time, if Republicans want to win the White House back in 2024, they need to move on from Donald Trump. And I understand some people don't want to hear that, but that's just the reality. And I'm starting to hear that more from more average rank and file Republicans. I'm starting to hear it more from the people who write out the big checks. And I guess this is the type of thing that, some people say no publicity is bad publicity. Those are the people that have never had bad publicity. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Stay in touch. You can reach us on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. According to a Career Builder survey, the average cost of a bad hire is $50,000. You can't afford to make a mistake. Let LAK Group help you in your recruiting efforts. Their proprietary recruiting process fuses expertise, resources, and technologies with your needs and identifies strategies and solutions that boost your company's productivity. Let LAK Group's executive recruiting services help you find great candidates. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group, discover your human advantage.
Here's a great way to say Happy Mother's Day. Schedule arrangements to keep mom at home. With Miller Mobility, now you can. They'll equip any home to accommodate everything a senior needs. Miller Mobility's at-home solutions include stair lifts, ramps, scooters, lift chairs, bathroom safety, and more. Mike and Val have owned Miller Mobility since 2004. Trust their family to take care of your family. See their huge showroom in Oconomowoc or visit millermobility.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Wyatt Barmore Pooley, it is singularly annoying. We have, as part of our computer system here, we have these protectors that are put in place to stop people from like searching the internet for porn and things like that. It's called a biodefender thing, and so it's set very, very sensitively. Like during our last segment, people were asking what's the history on this New York window that they created to allow victims of sexual assault to go back to waive the statute of limitations. What was the history? Was this something that was done exclusively to allow a lawsuit against Trump or something like that? And I really, off the top of my head, I don't know the whole history of how they passed this a couple of years ago. So during the last break, I'm trying to search for this, but of course you can't search for this without the term like sexual abuse coming up, because that's what it's for, or that's what it's for. So every time I try to log on to any of these sites that explain the history of why this happens, like New York eliminates time limitations for sexual assault, I try to click on that since it says sexual assault, and I get blocked because of the biodefender.
My tip might be to go directly to the news website, which will let you on, and then search within theirs.
It is now too much work. It is just.
It also happens to me. Our ad blocker is similarly sensitive, so sometimes I'm trying to work on a story with our news partners at TMJ4 News, and I can't watch their video because the ad blocker has killed the entire video player.
Right. There are a couple websites that are news websites that I regularly go to, and I have to do it at home because they get blocked on here. And I know the answer is to find our very, very good IT people and say, do whatever voodoo you need to do to let us do this. But I cannot answer the question exactly as to what the complete history was because I can't. New York State sexual abuse lockback statutes, I can't look it up because it's got that term in it. Oh, well. All right, WTMJ Breaking News Time, 2:32 p.m. from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. Here he is, the always internet-savvy Wyatt Barmore Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. As you've been talking about, there is a verdict in that civil case for battery and defamation brought by Jean Carroll, against former President Donald Trump. He has been found liable for both counts, the count of sexual battery and for defamation. Carroll has been awarded $5 million total in damages. Again, we'll bring you the latest on this story as it develops throughout the day right here on WTMJ. A Milwaukee police officer has been accused of grabbing a woman's neck and pointing his department-issued gun at her head while he was off duty. 29-year-old Rodney Abernathy is charged with 2 misdemeanors. Court records indicate that he had a relationship with the woman, but this did not meet the state definition of domestic violence. An internal investigation is pending with MPD. President Joe Biden and House Speaker McCarthy meeting at the White House today to discuss the debt ceiling. Time is short. The Treasury Department has warned that the U.S. could default on their debts as soon as June 1st if there is no deal. And nearly 30 speakers telling school board members Monday that they stand with a Wausau East High School student and his family after the band teacher Robert Perkins was not punished for directing racist and homophobic language at that student. After an hour and a half of testimony, the board nevertheless approved his contract renewal, and according to the Journal Sentinel, the district director of HR said it was a timing issue that led to Perkins' contract renewal without the consideration of the testimony. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. Since I last spoke with you, the Dow is down just an enormous amount. It's down 1.75, that is 0.01%. Currently sitting at 33,616. The S&P 500 down a little bit more. It's down 13 points. And the NASDAQ is down about 69 points. That's a little over 0.5% down. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit AnnexWealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. The only thing up is still that disabled vehicle on the ramp from Holt Avenue onto 4394 southbound. Otherwise, everything is looking good. No major slowdowns or delays on the highways and no accidents.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly sunny skies today, a high of 63. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 45. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 68. Thursday, mostly sunny, the high is 70, up to 80 degrees as the high inland. Friday, we'll see some showers, a high of 65. And Saturday, more showers and a high of 65 as well. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it is 59 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore Pooley. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:35.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, can we believe the polls? I'll explain. We'll discuss.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
Live life to the fullest. Hey, you hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. QC Kinetics gives people all around Milwaukee their quality of life by providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain, and not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. So where is your joint pain? In your knees, your hips, shoulders, maybe your back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. No surgery, no downtime, no steroids or harmful drugs. And patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Well, finally being able to exercise or walk the dog, maybe enjoying time with the family, or just working your job. Whatever it is, don't wait another day. Call QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Give them a call. 414-285-3474.
Smooth waters and clear horizons are ahead. The experienced team of advisors at Fox World Travel are ready to uncover your cruising style. Are you sailing off into a Caribbean sunset, taking in the European charm along riverways? Maybe an exotic expedition or Alaskan cruise are on your bucket list. We'll help you cruise like never before with Royal Caribbean, Holland America, Uniworld Boutique River Cruises, and more. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call a Fox Cruise expert at 866-GO-FOX-GO.
Life's more rewarding at Blaine's Farm and Fleet, especially when it comes to gardening. Right now, get unbeatable deals on supplies to support your backyard bounty. Like $5 off assorted Dan & Jerry's flowering patio planters, 36-pound bags of KT All-American Wild Bird Food, just $19.99. Shop our selection of live flowers and plants in our outdoor garden center, now open at most locations. Plus, get Blaine's Best Price Promise, the guaranteed lowest price, or we'll match it.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters says, Jeff, with the award of $5 million, does that get paid now or after an appeal is confirmed? It does not get paid now, but what typically happens is once the judgment is formally issued by the court, because what will typically happen is there will be perhaps post-trial motions directed to the trial court, but assuming for the sake of argument that the judgment is affirmed at the trial court, once it is posted, at that point in time, it starts accumulating interest. So typically what will happen is there's not going to be a payment that's made while the appeal, plays its course out, but interest on the award does start to run. So that's the way it typically handles. I'm don't claim to be an expert on civil proceedings in federal court in New York, but I think that's the way that this would work. All right, as long as we're talking about politics, it is not a good day for Donald Trump. No matter how you slice it, it is not a good day for Donald Trump. But earlier this week, it wasn't a good day for Joe Biden as well. New poll out by the Washington Post, ABC, and the numbers are brutal. And that's not me. That's George Stephanopoulos, who kind of came to power, as one of the principal advisors to Bill Clinton. The numbers are just bad. Poll released Sunday found that 63% of American adults do not think that Joe Biden, age 80, has the mental sharpness it takes to effectively serve as president, compared to only 32% who believe he does and 5% who have no opinion. That shot up 9 percentage points since the same poll was conducted a year ago when 54% said he didn't have the mental capacity for the job. So age is a huge factor. 63% of Americans, this is Republicans, Democrats, Independents, say essentially that he's too old. 62% of Americans don't think he's in good enough physical health to serve either. And they asked the same question about 76-year-old Donald Trump. 54% said he doesn't have the mental sharpness as well. So Trump does better in that comparison. Biden's approval rating hit a new low at 36%, which is down 6 points since the same poll was conducted in February, compared to 56% of respondents who disapprove of his job performance so far. So Biden is really, really, really underwater. Underwater is when, you're below 50%. Now, for any incumbent to be, at or close to 50% is, you want to be over 50%, but to be at or around 50% is important. Biden's at 36. Biden is at 36. And then there's head-to-head numbers which show him losing to both Trump and DeSantis. But it also shows great dissatisfaction with both Trump and DeSantis, particularly with Trump. But these are these new poll numbers that say even if it was, God help us, a rematch of 2020, Biden-Trump, in this case, Trump would win. But you got to be careful because these are national poll numbers, and we don't elect somebody by the national popular vote. There are many, many states that they're going to go Democrat. It doesn't matter who is running for president at the top of the ticket. There are many states that are going to go Republican. It doesn't matter who's at the top of the ticket. So the question ultimately is going to be, in those states that are contested, who's going to win? Our number is 855-616-1620. I want to talk, though, about these Biden poll numbers. Do we need another choice as Democrats? And I'd particularly like to hear from a number of you who are typical Democrat voters. Do you want a different choice? Whether it's because you have concerns about Joe Biden and his age and his job performance, because you think he's unelectable if Republicans nominate somebody other than Donald Trump and the issue becomes vibrancy. Are you concerned about 80 years old? Do you want to see another choice? Because so far, there doesn't appear like there's going to be anybody that is going to challenge Joe Biden. Will that be a mistake? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
The brand new PillowTop Milwaukee mattress is different. Ours is flippable for twice the wear. It's designed with an arch support center to decrease mattress sagging and increase back support, with handles attached to the spring system for easy moving. And you can choose firm or extra firm, priced right now for hundreds less than premium national mattress brands. Hundreds less for the same quality, a superior design, and your best night's sleep. Only at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. KenMichaelsFurniture.com. A big national mattress store in town uses the same adjustable base that we do. They put a big name brand mattress's best memory foam model on it and sell it for $12,000. We put our comparable quality best mattress on the same electric adjustable base and sell the combo for only $6,700. Get your best night's sleep and factory direct pricing with a Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, where no middleman means no extra markup and real savings for you. In Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Hey, boaters! At Kendor Marine, we have everything you could want, think of, or wish for your boat. We're committed to making sure you always have a place to fulfill every boating need that you have. And if you ask around, you'll find out our prices always beat the other guys. This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th Ryan Road in Franklin. Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters! This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And hey, boaters love shopping here. How do I know? Well, most times it's because they tell me, Dave, I love shopping here. But other times it's because they tell you. If you need a reason to come here, just check out our online reviews. They tell the whole story. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th Ryan Road in Franklin. Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Ready to downsize and move from your longtime home? Call Bruce's team today. Their senior real estate specialists will guide you every step of the way. Go from overwhelmed to I can do this. 262-242-6177. Bruce'sTeam.com.
If you want to be sure that you're getting financial planning advice you can trust, work with a fiduciary. A fiduciary should be someone who acts as a steward for you. It means they treat your assets as if they were their own, that they protect them as if they were their own, and that they try to grow them as if they were their own. Now you can take this for what it's worth, but I'm doing all I can to run a firm you can trust. That's why we're a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm that doesn't work for anyone but our clients, and focuses only on their best interest. By being a steward, being a fiduciary, to help our clients reach their financial goals. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, it's time for the country to move away from these two frontrunners and have a good, healthy national conversation about who we are and what we've become and where we're going. And that can't happen with these two baby boomers. It's time for the next generation. I disagree with only one aspect of that. Trump and Biden aren't baby boomers. I mean, they're not. Biden is what we would call, he's 80 years old. That's what you call post-war. He's older than the baby boomers. Trump at 76 right now might be, depending on how you define it, he might be the first year of the baby boom, but he's essentially post-war too. These aren't even baby boomers. Heck, give us a couple choices of baby boomers, for goodness sakes. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Jeff, the Wall Street Journal recently had an article regarding Biden's age and ability. Their main point was that Biden's handlers and the leaders of the Democratic Party love this situation. They have a presidential candidate they will need to rely on and will do whatever they want. If Trump is the Republican nominee, whoever the Democratic nominee candidate will be will automatically win. I think Donald Trump, and I've said this before, is unelectable, absolutely unelectable. And I think if Biden runs, the only person who he beats ends up being Trump if Trump runs, which is why if Republicans nominate him, and I still don't think that's going to happen, it would be just an electoral suicide position. But don't we want bigger choices? And if there's Democrats that are out there and you're looking at these numbers with Biden and you recognize that if it's anybody other than Trump, he's probably unelectable, where are the next generation of leaders? Do you just let Joe Biden run because, well, he's 80 years old and he's the president? Mary in Chilton. Mary, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi,
Thanks
Mary.
for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this subject. I can't believe it's going to be 4 years later and we're in the same position we were in 2020. I've been voting Democratic pretty much my whole life. I think the last time I voted Republican was Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you how long it's been. But we need some new blood. We've got to have some younger, better ideas, just a different mindset. I'm tired of the older white men running.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there has to be somebody willing to step up and give us some different options. I just hate to see us in the same position we were in 2020.
Okay, so why, Mary, do you think
we need a change?
Mary, and I think from the Democratic perspective, I think there's all sorts of people who feel the same way as you do. Without commenting on the job Joe Biden's done one way or the other, they look at him and say, "My God, he'd be 82 years old when he started his second term."
Right.
And you, I don't think anybody can reasonably argue. And he's slowing down. He's 80 years old. God bless him, but he's 80 years old.
Right.
I wonder where the Democrats are, that are just going to say, okay, well, we're going to just like lemmings, we're going to head over the cliff with Joe instead of trying to find that alternative.
Well, there were a lot of alternatives in 2020, and I cringed when Joe Biden threw his hat in the ring because it was late in the game when he did that. And I was hoping this time he wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
I was hoping he would just step aside and say, hey, I gave it 4 years. I am going to be too old. But obviously his ego won't let him do that. Or like you said, the people that are really running the show think this is a great scenario because then their agenda is going to get pushed through. But in 2020, we had a whole bunch of people that were, stepping up younger. I mean, you had Pete Buttigieg, you had Beto O'Rourke.
But you also had you also had Bernie Sanders, who had won a couple of first primaries. He's even older than Biden, for God's sakes. Yeah.
Right. But there has to be somebody out there that is willing to challenge him. I agree. It's probably not going to happen. It's become such a long, drawn-out process.
Yeah.
You need so much money to run. It's almost like, who's going to want to go through that, put themselves, let alone their family,
Yep.
If they have children. I mean, it's a huge commitment. And I get that. Not everybody wants to do that civil duty anymore.
Yeah.
But, man, I just hate where we're at. I really, really do.
Yeah, no,
I'm dreading next year.
Yeah, no,
I'm dreading going to the polls next year.
Well, Mary, I'll take it one step farther. As somebody who makes his living talking about current events, which obviously includes politics, if this is Trump Biden redo, I mean, my gosh, okay, we have the cameras on. I really am afraid my head is going to explode. I mean, the idea of having a rerun of the 2020 election with two candidates that I feel are both unacceptable on so many different levels for so many different reasons. I mean, give me strength. Sandy and Sullivan. Sandy, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I totally agree with Mary. I'm so tired of these old school, old guard politicians that just want to butt heads. If one party wants something, the other party says, no, we're not doing it. I want somebody younger, more progressive, more with more strength. I like Biden, but you can see he's failing.
Yeah.
He's deteriorating.
Well, and he might be in great shape. And he might be in great shape for an 80-year-old guy, but he's 80 years old. He's going to be 82, and you can look. We do not age like fine wine. That's just not how it works, and so that's just kind of the reality. Yeah.
I have voted Republican in the past. I voted for Bush because I thought Gore was a nut job.
Mm-hmm.
But I will not vote Republican this time. I'll tell you that.
Well, what if it's somebody different? What if it's somebody
like
different than Trump? What if it's a Tim Scott or a Nikki Haley or somebody other than Trump? Would you consider it?
Possibly.
Okay. All right. No, thanks. Right. I get it. No, thanks for. I get it, and I understand. But I think that there's a lot of Democrats who are look. Here's the bottom line: the next president is going to be decided by a handful of states. Wisconsin's going to be one of them. And it's going to be decided not by the hardcore Democrat voters, not by the hardcore Republican voters. It's going to be decided by those swing voters in those swing states. And a lot of people have those concerns. There's all sorts of concerns about Donald Trump that we talk about all the time, and there's all sorts of concerns about Joe Biden, and you're starting to see those expressed in the polls. And I guess, again, there's still time for other candidates to emerge. But my goodness, like I was saying, if the prospect of Trump-Biden 2024 and a rerun of 2020, I don't know. It's just kind of like, maybe we'll switch this program to sports talk or something. Don't know. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out what Greg Matzek and Amy Taylor have on their minds for Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Don't go anywhere.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.